Please, we want all of us to be seated, please. Looking around, in fact, I can see many female engineers. So we are proud to be engineers. And with this, I will plead to all the female engineers in this house to please stand up. All female engineers, please stand up. All female engineers, both students and our mothers that have started working. Yes, all female engineers. In fact, the equation is balanced. Equation is balanced. Please, yes, we are more than the men, and that is why we are here. Yes, back to the question. A student asked a question on opportunities for female engineers. That is why I asked all the female engineers to stand up, so that you see our mothers that already started working and they are here. You can see that for agric engineers, we have opportunities. In research institutes, we are there. In the academics, we are there. In private sectors, we are there. So we are proud to be members of WABEN. That leads me to the brief talk on WABEN. WABEN is Women in Agricultural and Bioresources Engineering of Nigeria. This was established in the year 2021 by the NEC of Niae under the chairmanship of Professor A.F. Alonge. WABEN started as a committee for interaction by women agricultural engineers. The pioneer chairperson of WABEN is engineer Mrs. Idiat Amusu. That happened to be the first female agricultural engineer in Nigeria. NIAE NEC meeting NIAE NEC at an emergency meeting held on the 28th of January, the year 2024, under the chairmanship of Professor J.O. Olaoye, approved the appointment of Professor Koinde Taiwo as the new chairperson for WABEN. She would have loved to be here, but due to some other engagements, in fact, she is presently out of the country. But I believe she will join us, if possible, on Zoom. WABEN is not just a committee again. WABEN is registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And as we are talking, WABEN is the women wing of NIAE, just the way we have APWEN under NSC. We see that, in fact, as women agric engineers, we should be proud that we are here. As we are talking, we have over 100 members. We've been able to get over 100 members. And I will briefly talk about the executives of WABEN, so that if you see any of the executives, you will recognize them. The chairperson is Engineer Professor Koinde Taiwo. The vice chairperson, Engineer Professor Ozunde Zinash. The secretary is my humble self, Engineer Dr. Adamado Christiana. The technical secretary is Engineer Professor Koinde Jayoba. The financial secretary, Engineer Taiwo Owa. We also have our representatives from the 6 geopolitical zones that we have in Nigeria. So at this point, I would like for us to start, because we have limited time. Just like the moderator earlier said, that we have limited time because we don't want our people to mix their flights. So we'll briefly talk on the theme for our discussion today. And the theme is achieving food security, the challenges of women and rural farmers. And that leads to our discussion for today. At this point, I welcome all our panelists for this discussion. Without delay, we will start from the extreme end to my right. And I'm starting, before I go to the panelists, there is somebody here today that is very important for us as youths. For our students, in fact, you will benefit from that person. We have a youth who is into private sector. She is here also to tell us her experiences when it comes to agricultural engineering. And the person is the founder and the CEO of Etama Farms and Agro Consultancy Limited here in Abuja, in person of Lady Gladys Etama. Please, wherever you are, stand up for recognition. You are welcome. She is a passionate farmer. Today, we'll get to know more about her and her experiences. So I will move straight to engineer Mrs. Udo, where she will start with the theme, and she will give us brief talk. Please, we are moderating our time, and that is why engineer Nneka Wagugu is here with us. So please, we'll talk for 3 minutes. In fact, in less than 30 minutes, we want to round up this program. Our aim has been achieved by us coming here to tell us about Wabe. Thank you so much. Over to you, Engineer Udo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocols. I am Engineer Antia Udo. I want to briefly talk about women in irrigated agriculture. As we all know, we know that irrigation is only to supplement rainfall. And so we need irrigation. We have different types of irrigation systems, ranging from surface irrigation, we have the sprinkler irrigation, we have the drip irrigation. The surface irrigation is usually more economical, and the operation and maintenance is easy to use. Sprinkler irrigation initial cost is very high, and then it's often exposed to theft. The drip irrigation system is economical, it saves a lot of water, but all of this irrigation system, you have to have some factors when you are designing them. You must have your land, the topography of the land, the source of water, and the crop you want to irrigate. Some of these crops, irrigation systems are favorable to one crop or the other. Like for drip irrigation, you cannot use for cropping large rice farm, because the water goes directly to the root of the crop, and so you need like surface irrigation for rice production, and sprinkler irrigation you need for large areas of land, and then a lot of water is wasted. So if I want to advise the farmers, women, on what system to use, basically the surface irrigation is more economical, although the drip irrigation system is locally fabricated today, and you have it all over the market. You have the pipes, the emitters that are locally fabricated, and once you have your water source, like you have a tank, you are good to go with the drip irrigation system, which is called the family irrigation system. I advise women they can use, and also in getting women into irrigated agriculture, you must adopt some strategies. Before you get into them, you must be able to talk to their heads, the family heads, advocacy visits to traditional institutions, where you get the buy-in of these traditional institutions, and then you also need groups, women groups that they trust. Going into the community means it's not just, because communication is not just one-off, and so you have to persist, you have to go speak with them. If you already have an irrigation system, in the place where they are. You can speak to them through the Water User Association members or through the cooperative group. And often, you must establish reason why you want them to go into agriculture. You tell them the benefits. Why do they want to go into agriculture? What they stand to gain, the barriers. We know that sometimes most of our of the systems we construct does not take the need of the women into consideration. And so in constructing an irrigation system, you must take the need of the women into consideration. Information, how are we able to disseminate the new technology we are bringing to them? Is it to their own advantage or disadvantage? If they are able to disseminate, how are they able to adopt the technology we are bringing to them? The technology must be beneficial, it must meet their needs, they must accept it. And using that technology, what is the outcome? What have they achieved? Are we able to follow them? Do we go for feedbacks? Do we monitor and evaluate their progress? All of this must be taken into consideration when we are encouraging women to go into irrigated agriculture. Thank you. Can I continue?
Please, let's put our hands together for Engineer Antia Udo. In fact, she has really addressed the talk on irrigation technologies in order for us to enhance food security. Because of our time, we'll move to the next person. If you look at the stage, you'll find out that we not only consider the women, we have also looked into the aspect of our men giving us food support. And that is why we have the national vice chairman here with us today, in person of Engineer Professor J.C. Adama. She is somebody from the academics. And he will be talking to us briefly, sir. You will tell us the role of research in agricultural engineering in promoting the realization of zero hunger. Yes, that is the questions we are throwing to him. So 3 minutes for you.
All protocols observed. He said research, and I want to add research and development. If you do a research without developing it, you have not done much. So we are looking for the role of research and development in agricultural engineering for achieving zero hunger. The question is, can we achieve zero hunger? Technically, yes, but physically, no. Now, research is very, very important. Remember that in engineering, farming started from early men who used stone. That was what history calls Stone Age. They used stone to farm. From stone, we moved to cutlass and hoe, to slash and till the soil. From cutlass and hoe, we moved to animal traction. From animal traction, we went to tractors. And then we are going close. Developed countries have gone to artificial intelligence. And now we are moving to artificial intelligence in Nigeria. So we now have 4 levels of agricultural mechanization. It is due to research. It is the research that made us to move from each stage. We're moving from each stage to each stage because of problems. Problems cause it. For instance, population started in those days when the early man were using stone and stone to farm. They were satisfied. Before the independence, our forefathers mobilized, the colonial masters mobilized our forefathers and gave them cutlass and hoe to clear the land and produce the little they could eat. These things were satisfied. But population started increasing geometrically. And so the need to feed this population started coming up. Not only that, taste of Nigerians started moving from ordinary food to processed food. So we still need to go to processed foods. These things have made it possible that research has to come in. We only moved from each state to the other state through research. If you don't do research, you won't know what happened. If I tell you how the tractor started, you know that it is research that took it to that level. And the research by agricultural engineers and in agricultural engineering. And that is why many people in agricultural engineering are going ahead achieving so many things. So when we research and improve mechanization systems, you are going to generate employment. One, you are going to attract foreign exchange. Because in those days, when we had the granite pyramid of the north, palm produce of the east, and cocoa of the west, we were getting enough foreign exchange and employment generated. And again, so many things associated with it. You cannot move from one stage to the other without research. And that's why research is very, very important in agricultural engineering. Thank you.
A round of applause for our national vice chairman. Please, that is not good enough. We are talking about the national vice chairman in this case. Thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful support given to us. In fact, I'm proud to have him here. That means I can balance in the midst of his executives because the men are here to support us. Thank you so much. Yes, we'll move to the next panelist in person of Engineer Esther Niae. She is from the ministry, a director. In fact, looking at her, you will know she's a big woman. Please, a round of applause for her. And she will be telling us on the role of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation in ensuring food security in Nigeria. That is why she's from the ministry. You are welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon, all. I align myself with the already established protocols to save our time. Let me just mention that the vision of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources is to provide safe and sufficient water for cultural, social, economic development of our great nation, Nigeria. And in doing that, we have many departments in the main ministry, and then we have agencies that are carrying out programs, projects, initiatives for this purpose. Just to mention to those who may not know, under the ministry, we have agencies such as National Water Resources Institute. We have Nigerian Water Management Commission. We have Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. We also have 12 river basin development authorities that cut across the whole federation. So as we are here this afternoon, you are located in a place that you have a river basin development authority covering your area, which you can walk to know what we have, what programs, and what you can tap into in terms of being a farmer using irrigation facilities. Now, I am from the Department of Irrigation and Drainage of the ministry, and our programs that we have are enormous. One, we rehabilitate existing irrigation projects. We try to rehabilitate existing irrigation projects. We also try to develop, other ones. But what I will talk mainly today, because of our time, since we are looking at women vis-a-vis irrigation and agriculture generally, we have a program that we tag Promotion of Gender Participation in Irrigated Agriculture. In order to achieve food security in Nigeria, irrigation is very key because it will enable all year-round farming, that there will be no idleness from the beginning of the year to the end. During the rainy season even, you may need supplementary irrigation when the rains stop. Abruptly, you may use irrigation to supplement so that there will not be any gap and the crops will not be affected negatively. And then during the dry season, you will also irrigate. This provides job opportunities for the women, for the youth, and for the men as well. And this will also contribute significantly to food security. This afternoon, I want us to be a bit more practical. It will not take time. I want to allow the woman farmer, a youth, to tell us what she's doing, and I expect us to be able to tap into that opportunity of the skills that she has. Because I feel at this point it's not just coming together to hear all the seminars, all the presentations. There is need for us to be practical. And this is also keying into our program the initiative in the department that we call Irrigate Nigeria. As you are seated here, when you leave this conference, you must identify where you are going to be doing your farming. And doesn't mean that you have to travel 10 kilometers to your farm. You can have hydroponics within your neighborhood that will not be far. You can have vertical farming. You can have greenhouse. Any form of irrigation practice or farming that will enable you to just do it to complement your work is needful at this point, so that we contribute in one way or the other to boost the food security in Nigeria. So without wasting time, let me call our youth farmer, Lady Gladys Teme, to give us her experience. And then she's a consultant. She built capacity. You know, you can invite her. She has greenhouse of different sizes. So after her, then we also have short clips of video by Engineer Antia. So once we are done with the two, I think we are done. Please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Please come over. Please come. The young lady you are looking at is a passionate farmer. And she has over 7 years of experience in hydroponics, greenhouse, and open field farming. She grows vegetables of various kinds and also train. Here she's going to tell our youths here, the students here, the lady that asked that question on the opportunities for agricultural engineers, I believe she is here, so that from our experience, we will be able to understand that for agricultural engineers and for females, we have a lot of opportunities. Thank you. You are welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. My name is Gladys Etema Igomu. I'm the founder of Etema Farms. We are located in Gwagwalada. I've been working in different farms for about 7 years. So about 2 years ago, I decided that, okay, let me come to Abuja and start up something for myself. So we have greenhouses, we have hydroponics, and then we also practice vertical farming. We produce tomatoes, bell peppers, habaneros, different vegetables. We service malls in the town, and we have some clients that want specific vegetables that ordinarily will not grow outside but in the greenhouses, and then we supply them as well. We also do trainings for people who are interested in greenhouse farming or hydroponics or vertical farming. Through irrigation, we have been able to grow crops. Like our farm is located
da dai noma a nan maza muka barwa, sai daga baya albarkacin wannan ruwa da aka sako mana shi har matan ma kansu ya waye, muka gane yanayin samun amfanin da ake da jin daɗin rayuwar shi. Don gaskiya a cikin garin Arginan nan ina da yaƙinin muna da yawa wanda muke noma mu mata, kuma muna samun amfani, kuma amfani yana mana kyau.
Noman da tirimin ta nuna mana har muka hau muke yin shi. Alhamdulillah yanzu ina da mashin nawa na kaina wanda na siya da kuɗin noman tirimin, domin kawai ina bayarwa ana min aiki da shi, ina samu ina sufarin gona in gyara wuri da duk wannan kuɗin da nake samu na hayan mashin din. Alhamdulillah wannan abun ina jin daɗin shi sosai, wanda kuma ba zan taɓa mantawa da shi ba.
Yadda na fara shekaran da na samu bugu 7 din nan, na cire bugu 1 na aje na kunun gyaɗa. Shi nake ta yi, da na zo na sayar da shi ya kare bugu 1 nan ya kare, na samu riba kusan 30,000 da abu. To riban nan ban aje shi aka ba, sai na ɗauka na siyo kaji na bitinare. Na zo na yi kiwonsu guda 25. Na kashe kudi ya kai 50,000, amma abinda na samu 100 da abu. To kaga na samu riba, kuma anyan kasuwa na ya budo. A cikin shi na sake cirewa na sayi akuya.
Daga noman nan na samu jari, har na haɗa da wa'yanga sana'o'in. Yanzu haka akan wannan sana'a ita ce muka lalura harkar yare ta makaranta da kuma ci gaban mun sai mashin mun ba da haya. Sannan kuma idan za a so mana kaya kuma da wannan mashin da aka yi mana jirganiya kuma muna ba da kayan ana shiga mana da su ƙauyuka haka. Ana tallata da shagunoni don muna ba su masu sabi.
Taimakon da timin suka yi mahaifiyata ta yi noma kuma amfanin noman ya yi kyau kuma ta biya mun kuɗin neko kuma neko ɗita na ci kuma ina so na ɗora karatu da ina godiya ga mahaifiyata ta biya mun kuɗin makaranta kuma ina godiya ga timin saboda ita ce ta taimaka mata ta yi noman har noman ya yi kyau.
Noman ma ban ma iya yin sa amma yanzu da aka gyara mana sikin kowace mace a nan wajen da waɗansu a gida wallahi noma suke yi. Muna so mu kwace noman ma daga hannun mata. Da muna cikin wahala, muna cikin wani ƙangi. Wallahi muna cikin wahala. Kai baka noma ba, kin je kin takura wa mijinki dan faɗa kaɗan ya sake. Yanzu ko matar tana noma, shikenan miji yana noma, kaga simple yanzu mu ba ta san aure ma wallahi.
Rimin kan gaskiya ta ba mu alfanu. Alfanun da ta ba mu da muna cikin ƙungiyar rayuwa. Amma yanzu rayuwar mu alhamdulillah akan noman da muke yi mun biya wa 'ya'yanmu kuɗin makaranta. Na ɗaya kenan. Mun yi wa 'ya'yanmu sutura. Mun ba su abincin da za su ci.
Na taɓa yi tun farko na samu buhu 2, buhu 1. To amma yanzu lokacin ba mu san yadda za mu yi mu gyara wurin ba. Shi yasa ni samu wanga ƙaramin abinci. Amma yanzu da muka samu muka iya gyarawa na yi buhu 20 har 30 ma.
Tsakani ga Allah mata a yanzu idan su ya ƙara buɗewa da wannan GBN ɗin. Ka gani ba abin da za mu ce sai dai mu ce Allah ya saka musu da alkhairi duka.
Gaskiya akwai bambanci. Da muke kawai watsa shinkafa muke.
Solar tent dryers, of which some of our honorables and senators they have adopted in their constituencies to serve as a community drying centers. We also have all these our technologies to take care of root and tuber, cereals and legumes, pulses, oil seeds, fruits and vegetables. Presently, we are working on solar cooling system, tapping energy from the sun to solve the problem of losses in fruits and vegetables. Also, when we combine all these technologies, we now have incubation centers in Nispri as a training ground for people to come. As a matter of fact, we have women, 3 women using our incubation centers. We have the fish smoking king. There is a lady who just graduated and is not ready for a white-collar job. He's taking up the fish smoking king, which uses 3 sources of power, the charcoal, the electricity, and the gas. And she's selling and she's doing packaging. We have another one, Dara Foods. She's into pap with different flavors. She will pack it and sell. There's another lady combining food for diabetic people. She's using garden egg to mix with food so that diabetes can be solved. So in Nispri, a lot of research has been done. And we also have the outreach center. All the technologies we have developed to solve post-harvest losses reduction, they take it out to farmers. We train farmers, we train women in agriculture, we train industrialists, we train coppers on how to use all these post-harvest handling technologies. Also, whatever we have documented, we have a library that can publish it for scientists to use. This is what Nispri has done to promote post-harvest losses, working on their mandate, which is reducing post-harvest by ensuring quality, safety, and availability of crops. Thank you.
Yes, let's put our hands together for her, please. No, you are not clapping enough. All the panelists here need, thank you. In fact, with this, you are encouraging us. That means next time, we will do better than this. Thank you for your support. Yes, at this point, we will only call on one of our fathers here. In fact, he has a question for one of us. So, we'll call on our guy here, in person of Engineer Professor Michael Faborode. Yes, no problem, sir. Okay.
Okay, it's on now. Thank you for the opportunity. 2 levels. I thank women for this innovation. That our women have grown big now that they are flying in their own wings. So we should clap for Niae and the men in particular for granting our women the opportunity. Then secondly, all the panelists that they have been able to enlighten us. And if there is doubt in the mind of any of the young ladies who are here, they know that actual engineering is the way forward for food security in Nigeria. Now, my question to our highly distinguished presenter on agroponics. That is an area that the youths are now facing very well. And I want to thank her for coming here to tell us. But she didn't tell us one information that we also encourage the youths. She should have said she's a millionaire, Naira millionaire, and dollar millionaire, and Naira billionaire. So I want her to provide that information to encourage people.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, the farm has been very helpful. We are 2 years now, and we have been able to get income. Actually, we are putting to develop the farm, and I can say that even though I'm not working with the government or working anywhere, I'm able to take care of some bills and do things, and we are growing. It's really, it's lucrative. It's something that if you go into, you'll be happy you did. And it's very easy. You are not going to be dirty. My fingers are not so dirty. There are days I get dirty, but it's very easy. When you are doing it, people look up to you, the old, the young, they want to learn it, and it's very simple. There are different systems of hydroponics that you can even start in your backyard using bottled water. You use the wick system. It's very, very interesting. If you follow us on Etema Farms on Instagram or Facebook, maybe if you DM me, we can organize something so that we'll know more about it, especially for the students and the young people who are interested. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that way she has more time to talk to us.
Thank you very much for that answer given. We are concluding. And before we do that, the Secretary of WABEN, I want to introduce her properly so that her introduction will encourage more ladies into agricultural engineering. She's Engineer Dr. Christiana Adamade, and she's an Assistant Director in NCAM, National Center for Agric Mechanization in Lorry. For the girl that asked this question, these women here will encourage you. So I want to thank everybody that participated in this panel section, our panelists, the man in our midst, who also encourages women. The national chairman is saying something which I wouldn't want to announce. He said he's donating his vice to us. So I really want to appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here. And I will also advise that the NEC of Niae should encourage us more. At least APWEN has grown to a certain stage that they hold their conferences in all parts of the country. We also travel for SWI. And I would like to encourage agricultural engineers that are growing up, especially women, to join in this trend, and you will not regret being there. I am still yours, Engineer Niae Kanwagogo, the immediate past public secretary of this great institution. I'm also an agricultural engineer. I work with Proda Enugu, where I challenge men. I'm proud to say it every day, because I head the agro and agro-allied division, where all the agro-processing machines are being built and produced in Proda. And in this, I want to appreciate one person that has encouraged me as a mentor. I wouldn't want to leave this stage without calling him. He's none other than Engineer Professor Peter Onwalo. He took me to my first conference and said, you must present a paper, and I'll teach you how to do this. And since then, 2014 till now, I've never missed an NIAE conference.
So his encouragement is worth emulating. Please, for all other elders that are here, pick students and encourage them. All these students will continue to attend NIAE conferences and they will never regret it. Thank you very much. As I call on the National Technical Secretary to lead us, to guide us on what's next to do. Thank you very much.
Please, can we put our hands together for Engineer Nena? And I think I need NECA, sorry, I have another Nena here, don't worry. And more importantly, can we please put our hands together for this set of panelists for a wonderful job. Well done. Let's clap for them until they get to their high seats at the other side of the auditorium. They've done very marvelously well, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'm sure the young women here are also inspired by the achievement of these ones. You can go higher than that, actually. All right? All right. Please, let's welcome Engineer Neka for 30 seconds.
Sorry, the son of Engineer Dr. Ernest Onyekwena, he has something to tell us. While he wanted to speak earlier on, but that was when His Excellency was leaving. So I am calling on, he's also Ernest Onyekwena Jr., he's a doctor too, to come up to the stage and briefly address the Nigerian Institute of Agricultural Engineers. Thank you very much.
Please, while he's coming up, we still have another set of panelists that will be talking about the theme. And these are distinguished personnel. By the time I begin to introduce them, you know what I'm talking about. So I will please advise us just to be a bit patient so that we can actually tap from the wealth of experience of these wonderful founders of agricultural engineers. You're welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone, once again. And good afternoon to those of you that were not here when I was up here a bit earlier. Once again, I would like to say my profound thanks to this institution for all the support and felicitation during my father's funeral, and even before that, all the commiserations and in general, all the well wishes. It is with deep thanks and profound gratitude that on behalf of my family, I would like to thank the association. This association has been very supportive and very hardworking in showcasing and promoting the profession of agricultural engineering in Nigeria. And my father's role has been something that he passionately imbibed in us, even though we were not all in engineering with him, but every member of our family knew how passionate he was about agricultural engineering. And somehow we all had something to do in one way or the other during in his business, in his agricultural engineering business. I myself continued working in the same business, though not trained as an agricultural engineer, because we saw it as something that we needed to bring in different angles of professional expertise. Him being an agricultural engineer meant that I would breathe and eat the knowledge from his own side, and then I studied civil engineering to bring in that aspect into the business as well. So, and it allowed me to, most of my experience in engineering, my practical experience, training, and IT experiences prior to graduation were all on agricultural engineering project sites. And right afterwards, it was a no-brainer for me. The business I could speak, the business I knew about was agricultural engineering business. So I still build grain storage silos. I have built about 8 fertilizer plants, some outside Nigeria. I still do agricultural engineering projects. This time around, with the knowledge from agricultural engineering from my father and others that we have working with us, and with civil engineering knowledge. We have also grown to the automation and mechanization side of it. So with the projects that we do, we also design and automate some systems in them. But this is not what it is about now. Thank you very much, Professor Onwalo, Professor Adama, Professor Faberede, and so many of you, and our national chairman, who have shown your support and a lot of interest in everything that we did throughout the funeral process. I also remember the support you gave my father during his 70th birthday, etc. And it is a pleasure to be associated with the association. I also want to say that on behalf of our family, we would like to sponsor an award through the Nigerian Institute of Agricultural Engineers to the best student graduate projects for the BSc, MSc, and PhD positions with 50,000 naira, 100,000, and 150,000 naira individually. Thank you very much.
Please, he deserves a good round of applause. I don't think we got what he said. He said BSc 50,000 best project, Meng, 100,000 best project, and PhD 150,000 best project. So thank you very much, the family of Engineer Nestor Onyekwena. His father was once a regional chairman, Nigerian Institute of Agricultural Engineering, Southeast. Thank you very much, Dr. Onyekwena, for that support to NIE.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Sorry, I was actually jolted from my seat with the permission of the national chairman. I also serve as the chairman of the Awards and Innovation Committee. And we've been scouting all over, looking for people who can give awards like this or to support innovations. And so here it is, while he was speaking, and I just said, isn't this God great? Because I was just seeing Engineer Onyekwena live. Unfortunately, I missed the burial proper because I was out of the country on a scheduled trip. I was listening to some of the questions that people were asking, and this is a very, very good example of what agric engineering is all about. Engineer Onyekwena and Protect Nigeria Limited is one of the first, if not the first, private sector organization established by an agric engineer practicing agricultural engineering. And I still remember that as a young undergraduate, you know, in those days, you know, they bring, I think we still do it now, all engineering class together. And so those in, whenever we meet in the engineering class at Nsukka, those in civil will always try to intimidate us, and they were always talking about engineer Iwanyan. And at that time, we didn't know about Engineer Onyekwena until somebody discovered him. And so whenever they talk about that they were going to be the contractors and making all the money, we say we also have somebody who is running an agric engineering practice very successfully. And that was Engineer Onyekwena. So my relationship with him was really very, very interesting. This is somebody I was looking onto as a mentor, and then by the time I graduated, we saw what he did in the Southeast in trying to revive agric engineering profession, and he was our leader. And then somehow, after my PhD, I came back, and one day he came to me and said he wants to do a PhD. I said, "Okay, which one, which PhD again?" And then, you know, we had all the big names like Engineer Professor Dibo and Azoda and so on. He said, "No, you are the one to supervise me." I said, "No, what kind of supervision is this?" This man is a guru, and everything about silos and post-harvest systems practically. And so I asked him, "How am I going to supervise you?" He said, "Well, you are a lecturer. I'm not a lecturer, so you have to do the supervision." That's how I ended up supervising my Oga. You can imagine how we did this supervision. But why I want to spend this 1 minute is to encourage all of us, especially the younger ones, even at his age and status. All the big silos you see in this country, you may not know. In different parts of the country, where his products, his work with SGR and so on in those days. And I told him, you already have the PhD project. All we need to do is to do simulation studies on one of the silos. And I was surprised, the kind of energetics in this man, practicing agric engineering. Even when I now left Nsukka, while the program was on, I became DG. This man will come to Abuja, and I'll go to Hilton to stay to supervise his work. But the interesting thing I want to say is that even at his level, the status, everything he achieved, he will come, we sit down in his hotel room, and everything I told him to do the previous meeting, he will show me what he has done. And I'll go through you can imagine this kind of supervision. I was only coming in from the academic angle, and then he will now come in from the engineering practice angle. And it was a beautiful thing. And I still remember the day he defended that PhD. It was awesome. And if you understand how silos work, you know that it's an integration of civil engineering, electrical engineering, instrumentation, and then, of course, agric engineering and management of crops and so on, apart from engineering management, when you are dealing with very complex systems. And so it's an example of what can be done. I remember when I attended interview for director engineering in Aseni, which may surprise the younger ones. I don't think there was ever any agric engineer in Aseni. And when I appeared before the panel, the permanent secretary who was chairing said, I want to meet this man. What you, an agric engineer, what do you want to do in Aseni? That was the question. You can imagine you enter an interview panel. In Abuja here, I came from Nsukka. That was the first question thrown to me. So inside me, I said, this man has landed me on a soft spot. And when I started speaking, the man started laughing. He said, I saw a guy, you asked this question, please give me time to answer. And he said, no, it's okay. Because all I tried to do was to explain that National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. What engineering are we talking about? At the level of development where we are in Nigeria, engineering is about agriculture. How do you engineer production, processing, storage, and so on? So I told them that that is the first thing that Naseni should be doing. And those who followed what we did in Naseni, the short time I was there, will understand that a lot of things is now being done by Naseni in the area of agricultural machinery development. So what I'm trying to tell you is that wherever you find yourself, today we've seen the examples. We have a governor, we have a deputy governor, we have, and so on and so forth. A former vice chancellor is here. So please don't be discouraged. Do your work and do it very well. And I will end by saying, may God continue to give our father, Engineer Onyekwena, very good rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that beautiful wrap-up. Wow. We have another panel session, but I don't know. Quite a number of people. Okay. We have to go for prayers now. So maybe the next 15, 20 minutes or so, we will have to be patient for the prayers. But while that is going on, I think what the son of the late Legion in agricultural engineering did is quite commendable. And that's what Professor Nwalo also mentioned, that we'll be looking at. And that should inspire the young ones with respect to putting in your best. You know, when I was charging you in the morning, I told you that once you have the idea, It's not just about this money will also be made available because people want intellectual property, what we can actually trade on that can make the world a better place for us. We'll wait for you, Dr. Zudinga. All right? And just by way of a remark, after this session, I'd like to have a meeting with all the chairmen of sessions and the rapporteur. I'm sure you have seen your name from page 16 through to 19. We'll have a brief as to how tomorrow will look like. Of course, the conference proceeding is ready. Your certificates and all that are ready. Some of you have contacted you. Some have not. But of course, once you have seen your name, we will duly have a brief, just a very brief meeting, 5-10 minutes maximum, before tomorrow's meeting. Please, I want to bring up for that discourse about agric engineering, how relevant, how important we are to national development. I think it would be kind for me to bring up the president of the continental body that is overseeing agricultural engineering practice in Nigeria, in Africa. He's no other person than the former vice chancellor of Obafemi Awolowo, the 9th vice chancellor, substantive vice chancellor of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. He was the first president of the Nigerian Institution of Agricultural Engineers, and currently he was also the former secretary general of the Committee of Vice Chancellors, and currently is the president of the Pan-African Society for Agricultural Engineering. I'm talking of no other person than Professor Michael Faborodi. Can we please put our hands together for him as he step up to continue that discussion? Let's clap now. Maybe you don't know him.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have all of you here. When the remembrance of Engineer Oyekuna was being made, my mind went back to our AGM and I think the first international conference in Enugu in 2001. You know, that day is unique that we cannot forget it. That was the day of 9/11. We were just at the opening ceremony. We were in the hall, so we didn't know what was going on. And people witnessed the striking of the second tower, the World Trade Center. It was during the break that we knew that something great had happened in the world. So we were in Enugu, and Engineer Oyekuna was the chairman of the regional chapter at that time. So we thank God for those that he has left behind, and we are very proud that his family has been able to support the issue of innovation in Nigeria. And I'm happy that, while we shared his experience, I didn't know, I mean, you can be a supervisor and go and be living in Transcorp Hilton. So this job can be lucrative if you find the right client. So our big shots who are here, I'm ready to supervise you if you are ready to take me to Transcorp Hilton anytime. Having said that, I think we are very happy to be here again today for another of our conferences. And when we also have such a personality like the best governor in Nigeria today in our midst, then we should be very proud. Because those who are on our platform know that we always showcase most of the achievements of Governor Zulum because it motivates all. We are very happy to see the way people all over the country, not just engineers only, because it's also very prominent in the Nigerian Society of Engineers, But the rank and file, ordinary people, the way they are so overwhelmed by his knowledge and his humane nature, a lot of policies that he has done, we are really very proud of him, and we all heard how he addressed us today. We have been challenged that we should bring what will make the profession to live in the hearts of Nigerians. When we talk about poverty alleviation, when we talk about employment, when we talk about prosperity, wealth creation, it's all within our domain. And he has challenged us to bring our innovations to bear. I wish he was still around when the young lady introduced what she was doing, which is perfectly one of the domains of our profession. And he told us that when he went to Ilorin, he visited the National Center as well as the National Store Products Research Institute, NISPRI. Those two bodies are related to agric engineering. The innovation, very simple storage system that they produce at NISPRI. He just mentioned it briefly. He bought 1,000 units, and those units have been delivered now to Maiduguri by the center. So we are very proud also that our colleagues who are working in NISPRI have been able to deliver. I'm sure other governors will want to emulate Governor Zulu. He was also at NCAM, and you heard his comment about what NCAM has been able to do. We want to be able to know more about what NCAM has done, and I've been discussing with the executive director, who is here and who will be joining the next panel, that we want to identify 2-3 key innovations that NCAM has to offer. And we will then allow Governor Zulum to lead the way in making sure that this goes right through the country to the presidency, so that when they purchase in thousands, in tens of thousands of units, and that's the way the institution will continue to grow. As far as the challenge that His Excellency also threw to us is concerned, the national institution is already thinking of having a coalition of the different tractors in the country, so that we can really recommend which are the good ones and which ones should not be even allowed to enter the country at all. That's a job that we should be doing that we have not done so far, but we want to make sure that is done. We create a repository of tractors, and through your inputs, we'll be able to characterize the different tractors all over the country, so that anybody who wants to buy a tractor, we have a document certified by agric engineers. Because when tractors are bought and they fail, they blame agric engineers, even if we are not involved in the purchase. Because most of the time, they don't consult us, they don't worry. But the National Center must certify all the tractors that are coming to the country, all the machines for farming that are coming to Nigeria. So we want to assist them so that they can play that role very well. And everybody will then know that ag engineers are very important to that development. That's at the national level. At the continental level, the Pan-African Society, we have already compiled a repository of innovations in agricultural engineering. The system is up and running. I would have displayed it, but I didn't have the premonition that I'm going to speak at this time. But definitely, very soon, we'll put it in the open on our platform so that people can upload. If you have any innovation, it is very simple to just upload on the website. We call it STAVMIA, Sustainable Technologies for Value Chain Mechanization in Africa. A number of our colleagues have previewed it, and they've tested it, and it's working very well. But, you know, development cannot end one day. So when you get it, if there's still anything that we need to adjust, please, we will point this out. That is going to give us a compilation of innovations. So we want it to be like the Guinness Book of Records for actual innovation. So that when you come to agric engineers, you click, either you are a consultant, or you are a farmer yourself, or you are a processor, or you are a development partner from United Nations, from FAO, from IFAD. You want to recommend a machine for a farmer to use, just click, and you will get the right recommendation from that source. That is one of the ways we can make sure that people know the worth of this profession. Again, there is a link I want to provide, but I will try and get the technical people to put it on later. It's the book, Agricultural Engineering in Africa. It's a compilation of the uniqueness of agricultural engineering. I'm happy that those who have spoken have related ag engineering to civil engineering, to mechanical engineering, to electrical engineering, to all of them. Agricultural engineering is the engineering of all engineerings when it comes to agriculture. So you use every bit of other engineering to solve problems in the farm. So you are the master of all. And this is what I tell students, because I teach Introduction to Agric Engineering to first-year engineering students. And I try to motivate them that they have a big future ahead of them. And they should think big of themselves. They should not think that, they are not important. So they should be prepared to solve domestic, national, and global problems. Because that is what we are. We are engineers of engineers when it comes to farming. When it comes to farming, no other engineering knows more than agriculture than an agric engineer. But we network with them to help to solve the problems. I just spoke about Stavmere just now, this repository of innovations. When the advert was out, there were 5 competitors, and I picked on a young group, Coincide Engineers. It so happens that one of them, the lead developer, is somebody who read petroleum engineering. But working with other partners in agriculture, they were able to develop this platform that when you work on it, you will see that it's very enticing. So the youths, this is their future, and Nigeria belongs to them. Don't mind the fact that we have not gotten it right. But what the young ones are doing, like that lady in the field of agriculture, bringing in technology to change things, it's going to explode one day, and we will see it with our very eyes. Cast your mind back to Nollywood. How did Nollywood emerge? How did they develop? It was not a government program. It was not government that directed them to start acting movies and things. No. It was self-effort, private initiative. And today, Nollywood has become so big that government is the one now running after them to try and see what it can benefit from their prominence. 20, 30 years ago, it was not like that. They have grown. If you also look at the technology industry now, you will find that Nigerians are dominating the place. The economic summit that is going on, the vice president listed some of them that are doing very well in the fintech industry. And that's where Nigerians are now very prominent again. The digital payment system is now being dominated by Nigerian technologies. If you go to your bank, the traditional bankers, Zenith, Access, GTB, and so on and so forth, when you pay money interbank, it will take 2-3 days before you get the alert to be credited very well. That's why a lot of people are now going to money points and OPay. And when you pay, you hear the bang down, it has dropped immediately. And so, that is a development in Nigeria. Today is Tuesday, right? Today is Tuesday. the 15th, I missed a program in Ife. Our mechanical engineering department, the developer of Money Points, graduated from that department, mechanical engineering in Ife. And today, they are commissioning a center for computer-aided design that is donating to the university. That was when I knew that it's a product of the university, Money Points. So when you are using Money Points, know that you are using a product of OAU, the Nigerian University System. So this is a challenge. Our youths are the solution to the future of this country. The same thing they are doing in agriculture. And so we as a profession, we must provide more support, more platform for them to be able to deliver. So we are in the right profession, like Engineer Ayidu said earlier, when Dr. Sab Aswegu then, but now Professor Aswegu, convinced him to change from mechanical to agric engineering, and he says that was the best decision of his life. I think a lot of us can also say that. And I think that must be our sixth song, that this profession is the best. But for everybody to realize, then we must double our effort to let people realize it. So the book, I'm going to give the link, Actual Engineering in Africa, the unique nature. It describes very well why ag engineering is superior to other engineering when it comes to agriculture. Because you are the one who knows about the plants, the animals, the soil, water, and so on and so forth. So if anybody brings engineering to agriculture, you must be part of it to make it to be very effective. So that book explains very well what ag engineering can do for national, for global development. So the link will be provided. So you just download it, and then you have a copy. And for those of us who are in the university academics, you must make sure that all your students have a copy of this book, because that is the first text for introduction to actual engineering that they must have, so that they will know readily the potential for actual engineering. So technical secretary, if we are going to start the session now, then you have to take over from here. So let me briefly now. I know I will come back during the next session. Thank you.
Let's put our hands together for one of our fathers now. I think you just wait so that I just bring you up again. You don't need to go up and down. We are moving to the second panel session now. You know, they will tell you in Nigeria that a woman first after men. And that's why we allowed the second session to start before the first session. And I'm sure you were encouraged, as I was, with the presentations of the Waben. I'm sure next conference we're going to have stronger team from that arm of agric engineering. So we're moving on to the next one quickly. And the theme of that discourse or that discussion has something to do with the theme of this conference. Imagine appropriate technologies for enhancing agricultural productivity in order to achieve food security in Nigeria. I think that should be a topic that should excite everybody, because everybody is looking for ways to bring down the soaring cost of food items. And doing justice to that, I have 4 very eminent personalities, guys, in the house. Already seated is, you heard him, the president of Pan-African Society for Agricultural Engineer. He was the head of department, he was the dean, he was the 9th substantive vice chancellor of Obafemi Awolowo University, and also a former national chair of Nigerian Institution of Agric Engineers, former president of West African Society of Agric Engineers, engineer Professor Michael Faborode. Can we please put our hands together for him? He's already seated. And then
all former remain valid, but
all right. You know, when you have your boss beside you, it's better you err on the side of caution so that it does not review the PhD he gave you years ago. All right. I also have that will be joining him on this side of the table. We don't call it high table. Please tell those who are outside to be part of this, particularly the students and those of us who are trying to cut our teeth in agricultural engineering profession. He's the executive director of the National Center for Agricultural Mechanization. He's a fellow of Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow of Nigerian Institution of Agricultural Engineers, member of American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers, ISTRO, and so on. So I can go on. I don't want to take our time. Engineer Dr. Kamal Abdul-Ghaffar Rashid. You are welcome, sir. Please, let's put our hands together for them very well. These are distinguished personalities. You should understand that. All right. I also have here is the National Coordinator of the World Bank Finance, Rural Access and Agri-Marketing under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. He has extensive experience, over 30 years, in the field of agricultural engineering and procurement. He has served the 3 tiers of government and is a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. He's registered with COREN. I'm sure you know all this, so don't make me to do the definition again. Member of Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Agricultural Engineers, fellow Nigerian Institution of Highway and Transport Engineers, fellow Chartered Association of Business Administrators, fellow Institute of Registered Administrative Managers of Nigeria, member Nigerian Association of Technologists in Engineering. I'm talking of no other person than engineer Dr. Aminu Mohammed Bodinga. Can we please put our hands together as he steps up to the podium? You're welcome, sir. This fellow, I'm scared though. How many of you are not yet fellows here? All right, you're welcome, sir. And the last but not the least, you know, in my language, in Yoruba land, they will tell you, for those of you that understand, and if there's a good interpreter, I will appreciate it. Egunla lo keyin igbale, that the biggest masquerade comes last. I'm talking of the former director of Raw Material Research and Development Council. He had spoken to us a while ago, and the current president of African University of Science, ASTI, Professor, Engineer Professor, and the former president of Academy of Engineering, Engineer Professor Azikwe Peter Onwalu. Let's put our hands together for him, as he comes up. I don't know if Engineer Elesa is still around. He was meant to be here. He's also a member of the, but I guess it's yes. All right. So this eminent. Oh, okay. Apology for that. You will have to come. I will have to get another seat here. Yes, I can't leave him out. I've spoken with him a couple of times. The next person is the president, the current national president, thank you, of Tractor Owners and Operators Association of Nigeria, TWAN, with nearly 500 tractors, 10 combined harvesters, an exceedingly high number of other farm equipment in their fleet. And then he's been to a number of countries to actually learn about mechanization. He has been managing well over 200 hectares of agricultural land. He is a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Agricultural Engineers. He's a member of Nigerian Society of Engineers, and is currently registered. I'm talking of Engineer Elesa Bitrus Yakubu. Please let's put our hands together for him as he steps forward. Let's make it louder. I have to compel him to shelve his trip to be here. Thank you so very much for honoring our invitation, sir. All right. Permit me to hand over the moderation, because I can't be querying. It's only in court that you can say somebody your Lord and somebody stands up. But if the people that have taught me are here and I'm querying them, I'm sure I will run into a problem someday. So please let me hand over the moderation to the president of PASAI. Essentially, we are looking at emerging technologies and how that can actually affect food security in Nigeria. I'm sure they have vast experience to be able to give us where we are, where we were, and what we should do so that we can put an end to this menace called high food prices. You agree with me that the amount you bought a bowl of rice last year or last month is not what you are buying now. And I have young engineers here that are ready to go all the way to stem the tide and turn around that direction. So please join me as I hand over to Professor Michael Faborode. He's going to be both moderator and a panelist, sharing his own wealth of experience, at the same time moderating the questions with respect to those eminent people here. You're welcome. Once again, let's put our hands together for these ones. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, our technical secretary. This is the panel, and you cannot have a more formidable panel than this. I was just telling Engineer Bitrus that without him, the panel cannot be complete, because he has seen it all, from being a director in rural development and now a farmer, leader of agricultural mechanization companies in the country, and so on. So it belongs to all the words about what we are talking about. So he will be called upon to give evidence to what others are going to say, because the director of UNCAM is in charge of standardization and production of agricultural machinery. So Engineer Bitrus will be able to tell us how much this is getting to farmers. Engineer Aminu Mohammed Bodinga is in what is called RAMP, Rural Agricultural Machinery and Marketing Projects, under a World Bank project. Those who are familiar with rural development will know that that is a very, very important agency, that any agricultural program that doesn't have effective rural transportation will lead into problem. When we talk about escalation of food prices, somebody has said it is because of bad rural roads. So RAMP is very critical to this, and I'm very, very happy that we have Engineer Bodinga here today, so that we can explain to us exactly what our profession must do to ensure that we reduce food losses to 10%, if we can't take it to 0, because right now it's from 40 to 50, depending on which type of crop we are talking about. And in some school of thought, it is criminal to allow farmers, including women farmers, to toil and do all that labor, and then you waste all their effort through spoilage, through post-harvest losses. So, very critical. And of course, Engineer Professor Owalu is not just an agric engineer. He has a mirage of experiences that he's going to bring to bear. He moved from NASENI as a product engineer. NASENI is National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. He then became Director General of Raw Material and Research Development Council for 8 years. And now is the president. For those who are not used to that terminology, the president is also a vice chancellor of African University of Science and Technology. He just finished his tenure as president of the Academy of Engineering in Nigeria. That's the highest engineering body in Nigeria. So you see him there, that red cap is a big cap, as you are seeing him sitting down there. So you have to listen, but our time is limited, so they are going to talk to us short, and everything. So that's the panel. Before I unleash the panel, I want to appreciate the women of the last session and to commend their effort. And I think we need to help them to grow. They made this demand. And I've advised their president that you set up a development fund for women. And for those who did not know, my wife is here with me at this conference. I think the last time she attended was in 2001. So she's here today, and she said she's so happy with what they are doing, and twisted my hand to donate 100,000 naira to start that project. So, women, you have 100,000 naira in the kitty. Before we leave here, I talked to Professor Owalu, talked to the director of RAMP, talked to Farmer Vitrus, and then, of course, the director of UNCAM. So you can make millions before you leave this panel. So on that note, I think we will, this is going to be a frank discussion. This is not a PowerPoint presentation, though anybody who has PowerPoint can just list 1 or 2 points. Let's talk frankly. So I said, you heard what the governor, His Excellency, said. Let this profession show the way it's so critical to the life of Nigerians. Production of food, prevention of spoilage of food. These are critical issues, escalating prices, and so on and so forth. It is not the president that is coming to, checkmate the rising cost of food. It is we. And you saw what Engineer Bridley is trying to do, to use knowledge to solve critical problem of insecurity, so that at least we can cover a number of the gaps and loopholes. So our panel will be doing justice to this, and I'm going to start with the director of UNCAM. So let us know what technologies are available and how are we going to use emerging technologies to change the narrative in Nigeria. And after him, the director of RAMP, Engineer Bodiga, will come on board. And of course, Engineer Professor Owalu will also come. And then we now go to our farmer, our equipment fabricator expert, our rural developer, and so on. Because if all they say doesn't get to the rural areas, then we have done nothing. So, Director of UNCAM, I'm sorry, you have to come.
Homegrown technology and reduce importation, if not eliminate importation over time of agricultural machinery and equipment. And this we are assiduously working on. Over the years, the center has developed arrays of agricultural machines and equipment across the various value chains. But this time around, we are looking at standardizing these machines and equipment in order to attract patronage. Because we observed that the patronage was low and people still preferred imported machines. What do you see when you see large-scale farming is equally encouraged. We look at model in the US, where less than 10% of farmers are large-scale farmers and are producing the food being used and exported in USA and beyond. So we have large-scale farming, but we should not neglect the small-scale farmer. So emerging technology, as being done in income, is still looking at small-scale farmers, like the biogas system, which income has really worked on over the years for producing farm electricity, producing farm gas. For smoking of your farm produce, you can even generate electricity for use in pumping water from your fish pond.
Now we know more about what income has been doing, and I think they are getting very strategic to tackle the problem at where it's going to really count. Focusing on the Japanese model, which I think is also the South Korean model, because using that model, South Korea has been able to come up to almost 100% mechanization from almost a level of zero about 50 years ago. So I think you're on the right track, and I think we are very interested. I think Niae will note in particular what you are doing on the multi-treasure, because the governor has said, come up with something that they can promote, and also the biogas system. And your method of dissemination is also very attractive. So thank you very much for that enlightenment. Without good roads, as I've said earlier, all these other efforts will also go to naught. So our national coordinator of the Rural Agricultural Access Program, it's now over to you to enlighten us further on what we can do to ensure that we assist farmers and others to bring their products to the farm so that we can reduce the level of spoilage and post-harvest losses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chairman of the institution, the professors here present, my colleagues from Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and equally my lecturers here present. My name is Engineer Amin Mohamed Bodenga, the National Coordinator of RAM. The acronym stands for Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing Project. This particular project is an offshoot of Rural Access and Mobility Project. And our mandate is to see how we support the improvement of rural access and equally agricultural marketing. The project started sometimes in 2005 with only 2 states, that is Kaduna and Cross River State. We have constructed over 1,000 kilometers in these 2 states, and we equally provide access to communities that were isolated as a result of access by providing small culvert bridges to enable them access their local government headquarters, access market. And just like what Professor said, when you are clamoring for attainment of food security, and you actually neglect people living in the rural areas, of which we all know most of our farmers in this country are peasant farmers. These are the people that feed the nation. and to a large extent even provide food for export. And the responsibility of opening of these rural areas is the responsibility of local government areas, I think, by virtue of the Nigerian Constitution. Therefore, this is an intervention project under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Having recorded these successes, we moved the project to admit additional 5 states, Adamawa, Enugu, Niger, and Osun. Imo is still ongoing, while the project has closed in this 4 states, where we constructed over 2,000 kilometers of rural roads. We equally provide small culverts and bridges to people living in the rural areas. I believe everybody will testify here, one of the major challenges we're having in this country has to do with post-harvest losses. Another challenge is, so far based on the system we are operating now, we have over 200 kilometers of rural roads in this country, out of which 80% are in bad and poor condition. So this project received the attention of federal government and equally the state governors, and we have expanded the project scope now to 20 states. Just last week, we finished appraisal of expanding the project to cover the country with a view to support the initiative of federal government in the attainment of food security in this country. And let me quickly go back to the theme of this conference, which is emerging technologies. The first thing we observe in the implementation of this project is that there is no standardization in terms of construction of rural roads. And therefore, the project was able to engage consultants. Today, we have Nigeria's standard rural road document that will guide design. It will equally guide maintenance of rural roads in the country. So we have low volume roads design manual. We equally have low volume roads maintenance manual. We equally have low volume roads technical specification. Initially, we rely heavily on our brother civil engineers using the highway manual. But today, as part of the effort of this project, we have standard low volume roads manual that can be used. And we didn't develop these manuals in isolation. I remember vividly we picked about 6, we recognized 6 Nigerian universities that were engaged by the project as peer reviewers in the development of this low volume roads manual. And I think 4 of them are from Department of Agricultural Engineering in our institution. When we realized that now today we have a standard document that can guide design of rural roads, we now focus more on how do we improve in terms of bringing technology to support us. And for the first time, this country is getting the support of development partners in helping us to develop Nigerian Rural Transport Information Management System. This is one of the technology that was introduced by this project. And this technology, allow us to identify all the rural roads in this country, the conditions of these rural roads, the features, and all of that associated information. We didn't stop at there. We look at all the hospitals along the road corridors. We also look at all schools, market along the road corridors. We have digitalized. We have captured all the relevant information that is required to guide our decision makers. Because as long as you are talking of agriculture, you are talking of reduction in post-harvest losses, definitely you need good roads. We also, what is happening, sometimes the cost of transportation is not limited to only the cost of fuel, but rather you also look at the cost of maintenance of these rural roads. For those of us, even in Abuja, that are outside Abuja, you realize that the maintenance of your vehicle is always a challenge because of the bad roads having access to the city. And this is the same thing our people living in the rural areas are facing. You want to move your agricultural produce to the nearest market, there is no access. You didn't sell your produce, most especially cashew, all these freshable products, you realize that farmers sometimes only transport themselves back and leave this to waste. That's the critical challenge we are having, mangoes and what have you. So this project now came in to see how do we support farmers. As such, we now include this very important component that is agricultural marketing. Now we want to see how we improve the market by providing storage facilities, providing sustainable power that can support the storage of these facilities to the next market day. We also consider establishing market management committee that will support us in actually managing the investment in this market. Some of the markets are waterlogged. Some of them are not even having shelves, most especially agricultural market. You realize that we went to one particular market in Kano, it's just a plain field. That is where people bring their tomatoes and sell. And if they cannot sell, that's their own luck. So this is the situation we are looking at under this project, which I've made mention earlier, that is being financed by World Bank, French Development Agency, and recently European Investment Bank. We are equally in discussion with Islamic Development Bank to see how they support us, because we are expanding the project scope by next year to cover 36 states and FCT. Fundamentally, we now realize that all donor-funded projects in this country close immediately the development partners withdraw their financing. This has continued to remain a challenge in this country. And we look at the sustainability as the keyword. And we look at the importance of this project and equally opening up these rural areas for improved agricultural production and equally reduction in post-harvest losses. Once you reduce the travel time by having a good road, you are actually supporting the reduction in post-harvest losses. I will give a typical example. When we visited a particular road, community Amerada in Niger State, you have to leave Kontagora, if you are in Kontagora, to go all through to Moka, and from Moka you start going through New Busa before you can now access this community, simply because of three-span bridge that was supposed to be provided. When we met the village head, well, he told us that, look at the agricultural potentials of this community. Look at the irrigation, look at what we are farming year in, year out. But our major challenge is we don't have access. I wish I came with some of these slides. You will see how we met the situation. They are using woods to provide access to, and once the rainy season starts, they are cut off with Kontagora and the other major towns that they can deliver there. They have come through all this over 150 kilometers before they can access Kontagora. But today, this project was able to bridge that gap to make the travel time to only less than 30 minutes. We actually didn't stop at that. By providing this access, we constructed that bridge. The bridge is beyond the scope of the project, but we forced to do it because we saw what these communities produce in terms of agricultural production. Another component of this project that also helped in terms of poverty reduction is the issue of community-based maintenance. This project organized the people living across the road corridors into cooperative society, registered them, trained them how to provide routine maintenance. And I think what the project is now focusing more is, instead of contracting out the annual mechanized maintenance, we are looking forward in the new project to liaise with institutions like Nigerian Center for Agricultural Mechanization to have simple rural road construction equipment that can support us to make sure that these communities that we organize to provide routine maintenance can equally brace up to equally provide annual mechanized maintenance. It's another way of poverty alleviation, it's empowerment. We are transferring the ownership of this road to these communities by doing so. So far we have pictures, we have evidences of the people that were trained under RAM2 in that community-based maintenance. So having the Nigerian Rural Transport Information Management System, which is another technology we introduced into this country, and so far World Bank has, and our office have started receiving requests and interest by other African countries to showcase what we have achieved in this. Particularly even our Federal Ministry of Works were interested in this. By the time we completed in 36 states and FCT, at a bottom you can say this is the total number of rural roads in this country we have. You can equally ascertain whether or not what percentage of these rural roads are in good and fair condition, and how much is required to rehabilitate these roads. You can equally use the tool to determine the maintenance required. How much do you need to budget to maintain these roads, and make sure that the roads are in good and fair condition. That is, we call it NATIMS. We went further equally to introduce construction site monitoring software. These are all technologies that were introduced under this project. And this construction site monitoring software is one of the major importance of this software is reduce our vulnerability to kidnapping and related security threats in the country. At the comfort of my office or the comfort of the governor's office, you can click and see situation in a particular community without even going there physically. We can equally supervise road construction at the comfort of our office by clicking this construction site monitoring software. This is something that we employ in the present 20 states we are working on, and we intend to expand the scope of construction site monitoring software to equally cover. You don't have to visit the site frequently physically, but you can use the technology to equally supervise the ongoing. Most of us that are in construction industry, we know that you get what you supervise. Without supervision, particularly the way things are working in this country, you may not get exactly what you want. So in this, we are using construction site monitoring software to equally provide the necessary supervision in the construction, to equally help our people living in these rural areas.
Thank you.
If you can, okay.
Okay, you want?
Just one last one.
1 second, yeah.
That I also want to inform this gathering is that this project is now open, and so far we are constructing rural roads. And when you consider the rural access in them with countries like India and so on, you realize that Nigeria has so much to do, and we'll continue to bring in technologies that we believe are going to enhance and equally increase agricultural production, particularly post-harvest losses reduction. This is a key challenge to this country, and we believe attainment of food security can only be attained with, when we support our people living in the rural areas. We didn't forget market. We did women Amerada in this project. We equally consider project-affected people. We equally consider issues like climate change. We are building climate resilience roads. We have moved away, and we saw the devastation in terms of erosion and what have you. So our project is a technology-driven project. We are improving day by day. We are learning lessons, and in design of the future project, we are equally incorporating this lesson to make sure that we support this country in the attainment of food security. So RAM remains still open and focus more in improving the livelihood of people living in rural areas and equally simplifying life, just like what engineers are expected to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I mean, you have just in one single breath deepened the role of ag engineering in rural development, and we can see the relationship, how closely related. The issue of food security has to do with roads. And so, ag engineering is not only in the processing or in the preservation, but also in ensuring that you get good transport. And that is what he has demonstrated. We know that you have developed the standards. It would be good to have this to be ISO certified. And NIAE and NSC are already working in that with the ISO. And I think it will be good that you also key into that. The management, the security management system, the construction-based management system, all these innovations are quite very impressive. And I hope our young colleagues who are in the audience will start following on this and see that opportunities are opening up for ag engineers everywhere that you can mention. So, of course, be ready, because it is very important that in order to be able to fulfill the obligation that the National Chairman and Governor Suluma has placed before us, what are the key things that we can do to dramatically change the Nigerian story so that we don't have all the sort of menaces that we are having, hunger, serious hunger. I think about 30 million Nigerians, actually, are in serious situation of malnutrition today. It is for us to respond to that. So, if you have suggestions for these our agencies that will revolutionize what they are doing, please be ready to make this contribution during discussion. And so that takes me to Engineer Owalu. I'm not going to restrict him to anywhere. He can tackle me from any angle that he has diverse angles from which he can come from. So let's just allow him to express himself as much as he can.
Okay. I think I would like to come from the angle of capacity building. I'm still a teacher, I'm still a professor and heading a university. And so, I would like to come from that perspective. First of all, I want us to understand and remind ourselves what the theme of this conference is. which is emerging technologies. And then, do we really understand what emerging technologies are? And when we do, from the angle of capacity building, I would like to just say one or two things about how we can build our capacity from the training institution's perspective to those who are already in the field, who didn't experience or learn anything about emerging technologies. And then I'll give one or two examples of how these things are working. At any point in time, there's always some technologies that I imagine. When I was like 30 years ago when I did my PhD, I remember that I was this vibrant young man from Soka. I was working on tillage, and I was dreaming of having the opportunity to set up the idea of autonomous vehicles for agriculture. And I wanted to do this from the perspective of tillage. And so when I found myself in Canada, when I was asked to do my proposal, that was the first thing I said, look, I want to be able to have an autonomous tractor. At that time, it was still a concept. And my supervisor said, this is more like mechanical engineering and instrumentation. But if you can do it, no problem. And as God will have it, the funding that took me to Canada by CEDA was almost like a blank check. And all I needed to do was, this is what I need, and then my supervisor endorses, the money will come. And the equipment, everything I needed from scratch. And so at that point in time, I completed that project in 1991. I was able to, in a lab, simulate a tractor physically. And this tractor was able to, the tractor input was able to sense the soil. The soil was in a soil bin, sense what the soil is in terms of moisture, in terms of strength, in terms of everything that you need, all the parameters you need. And then send this data to a computer, and the computer would then decide on the level of tillage, the level of, if there is need for irrigation, the same equipment I call tractor in the lab will spray water and so on to the level that is required. And then the tilling of the soil is done precision-wise. Now, at that time, remember, this was late 80s. Everything I did in that lab was wired. There's no way you can communicate with the equipment without passing through a wire then to the computer. Today, we have emerging technologies such that this information can be relayed from one point to the other using radio waves. I think sometimes we take these things for granted, but just in a space of 30, 40 years, technology has changed. And that time I was running around doing all kinds. I think I had over 200 wires from this machine to the computer and then back for control. But today, all this can be done by radio waves. And so, this is emerging technology. So today, even now that we have all the radio waves and we're able to get data, transmit them, and so on, there are still technologies that I imagine in terms of being able to send more volume of data within a very short time. And so we as agric engineers, I think we need to understand these technologies. And just like my colleague here said, we are now even moving beyond the ICTs, what you can do with computers, to precision in doing things, to sustainability. How do you ensure that what you are doing will be sustainable? And that, of course, dovetails into the domain of data. Because it's only with data that you can now build models. Today, we all talk about artificial intelligence. And I tell people, one of the courses I teach, by the way, even as a vice chancellor, in the kind of university we run, in African University of Science and Technology, even as vice chancellor, I still teach. I don't know if Prof was teaching when he was busy. But I teach research methods, and one aspect of it is data management. It's only when you have data that all the story we tell about AI can happen. I tell people when I teach research methods that AI, machine learning, these are all advanced regression analysis. The ones that some of us learned. When I did statistical and data analysis for my master's in 1986, we were using cards. You know, we wrote the programs in Fortran, put them in cards, and then submitted at the computer center. Today, I'm sure those who are into coding can even use their phones while they are sitting here and do coding. So these are all emerging technologies that are real. And these are the things that can solve the problems we have in agriculture, the engineering problems. I used to be at NCAM as a resource person, and we developed quite a number of programs, which I'm happy that these are all running now. But there is still a problem. We produce these machines, not only at NCAM, in all our departments of agri-engineering, and then even in the private sector. And these machines, most of them, not all of them, are still in our workshops. And so what is the problem? And I think the major problem is that the people who are producing these machines and the interventions for do not have the capacity to acquire these technologies, and yet they need them. And so that's a problem that needs to be solved. And how can we solve this problem? Emerging technology is there for us, because even when you talk about marketing, when you talk about access to technology, it's something that we need to change the way we think about agriculture. And I think this is where our young ones leveraging on the power of technology, power of innovations, can come in to help our practitioners. Our farmers are resource-poor farmers. So you don't expect, and I've been in a project where we gave even tractors and big equipments to farmers, and they couldn't buy diesel to even power them. And so you visit them 2 years, 3 years later, and that equipment you gave them is lying there. So it now brings the issue of emerging technology, not only on the hardware, but even the software. And I always give this example with those of us from Southeast that started the luxury buses transport technology. I remember that as a young man, when I was hustling a lot, I would teach, I would do computing. In fact, I was also selling computers. So sometimes I would live in Suka by Ife Sinachi. Ife Sinachi is one of the popular luxury buses. I would enter about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. in the night. And why am I entering that night bus? Because somebody had come to my shop, and I told him, I have these computers you are looking for, but they're in the warehouse, so come back next tomorrow. And I'll enter night bus, and early in the morning, I'm in Ikeja. Get these young boys in Otiba, and they configure the things. I put them in the bus, enter another night bus, and the following morning, I'm in the small shop I had outside my department, in town, and I will sell my computer. Now, these are the kind of things that can happen. And some of the people that use these computers then actually rent them. They don't really buy. So this is one challenge we should have as agri-engineers. How do we make sure that these machines get to the intended users? They cannot buy them. And I'm sure my colleague here who is in the field can tell you. So that is where the kind of work Engineer Beatrice and others are doing are very important. How do farmers have access to this? And we had these ideas before when we had the tractor and the equipment hiring services. But now with the power of technology, our young engineers should think about providing these services. What are these technologies? Artificial intelligence, precision agriculture, sensors, biosensors, and so on. These are beautiful technologies, but they are expensive to start with. That is the initial cost. So can we not find ourselves as middlemen, as engineers that get these services, these emerging technology services, and provide them to our farmers, and they pay as they use? Just like we're all using our mobile phones and so on. We're not paying for the ownership of all this. We're only paying for the little bit of what we are doing. And so I think our young engineers should leverage on emerging technology. First of all, we need to understand what they are. Two, we need to position ourselves to have projects that can provide these emerging technologies to farmers and other end users, whether you are talking about post-harvest systems or you are talking about planting. And then finally, the other thing I also want to encourage us is for developing these technologies and deploying them, we need money. And we seem to be handicapped because I hear a lot of young people say, it's money, is this? But there are a lot of funds, a lot of projects here and there that you can leverage on. The speakers have already told us, I'm sure many people are hearing about what is going on in the RAM project. And these are places you can provide services or leverage on what they are doing. And I'll just give one or two examples before I hand over to the moderator. At Academy of Engineering, for the first time last year, before I handed over, we had the Engineering Innovation Award, which was advertised and people were given latitude to come up with projects and you could get funding and support to continue the project to actual commercialization. I think the winner came from Makurdi also, I believe. I think, yes. Yeah, Makurdi. Because I remember Prositodo came out to also... Sorry? Yes. But why I'm mentioning this example is that the overall winner, this is something that was run by Academy of Engineering, was an irrigation project. And what made him win? Because, I had a committee that handled this, so they were given free hand. And they were selected from private sector. So I asked them, what makes this irrigation? Irrigation is something we all know. So what made it to win? And the young man that won this got 10 million. And next year is even going to be more because many industries are interested in supporting the academy to give more awards. And what was the distinguishing factor? The application of emerging technology in micro-irrigation systems. Nothing really, the only thing I saw was that the fact that he was able to create a system that can sense, an intelligent expert system that can sense what the soil needed, and then this is even transmitted through the cloud, and then back, the irrigation system is now controlled to give the irrigation at the point it's needed and at the quantity needed. And he was able to implement this. Mind you, this is not easy. Because I have another project I want to cite as an example. I think Dr. Prosadam are here and one or two people. We have a project in Bauchi funded by TED Fund. And I'm just sitting at the background supporting them with advice. And we wanted to create, as the godfather, yes. And the idea was to do precision farming. And I cast my mind back to what I did in Canada 30-something years ago. And the challenge we had was that all the sensors we needed to be, the concept is there in our heads. The sensors we needed, it took us how many months to get, took us 9 months to get a petrol logger. And now that we even have the petrol logger, it's computerized, but integrating it with the system is even a challenge because it's proprietary software that they have. So this is also a big challenge, but it's also an opportunity for us as agri-engineers. Developing these sensors, whether they're biosensors or whatever, they are all imported currently. And you know the problem we have in terms of buying things and so on. We had to get to a businessman in Onitsha who said he's capable of bringing in anything, anytime, as long as the money is there. But why can we not develop these sensors? Finally, one of the other emerging areas is what we all talk about, the issue of environmental sustainability and so on. And I'm giving this example to also enlighten our younger ones. NASENI, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, I think 2 years ago or last year, advertised for what they call Nigeria Delta 2 project. And it's not because Prof is here. Prof, I think, was one of the resource persons Naseni hired to evaluate proposals. Again, sitting at the background, I supported a number of young people, and they bidded. And what is it that they want to do? They wanted to do the issue of converting agro waste and biomass to different products, including energy. Currently, Nigeria, we are all suffering from energy insecurity, and we have biomass everywhere. We have agro waste. Yesterday, when I heard the truck, one truck in front of my house, I looked through the window, I said, oh, thank God. Reason is that the garbage bins in front of my house for the past 3 weeks were not collected. In the heart of this city. And all over, you see refuse, you see waste that can be converted to energy, can be converted to fertilizer, and these can only be done by emerging technologies. And these are opportunities that are there wasting. And so I'm challenging all of us. And so we bidded for this project, and our project was one of those ones. So if you come to my university, you will see what we're trying to do with agro waste and biomass, converting them to different products. I think yesterday I was sharing with some people that I have one PhD student who has worked on converting termite oil to biodiesel. He has shown that it works, and I'm still looking for money. And the Indians, he's been in India now for the past 2 years because of that project. And this was developed here in Abuja by a Nigerian, and I'm still looking for money. So leveraging on looking for money is important, and we should all work on this. And I will also suggest this to the national chairman, our CPD group. Maybe we should also add, if we don't have it already, how to build our capacity for writing proposals, looking for grants, because these are the grants that can help you develop these emerging technologies and apply them in agricultural practice in such a way that the person, the farmer that needs this would be able to. So this is the angle I want to come from, and there are many others.
Yeah.
I think Raw Material Council, I don't know if they're here, they recently advertised for projects, and I don't know how many of us saw it. So let us continue. First of all, understand the emerging technologies, see where we can apply them, look for funds to be able to implement them, and then position ourselves by floating small companies, consultancy services that can provide these services to our farmers who will not otherwise be able to buy these technologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that big insight. You see, actual engineering is so diversified, and you'll be on top of the game if you know exactly what you are doing. That's what he has explained to us. And he started by saying, how do we define emerging technologies? And this is very important. Very important. How many of us know about regenerative agriculture? You can just show your hand if you know about regenerative agriculture. Okay. About 2. Conservation agriculture or conservation farming. You see, those high-sounding technologies, they were the things we were doing in some years past. Applying mulching, crop rotation, you know, those simple things we were doing on our farm, and they say it was primitive. And they condemned them and say, I mean, primitive Africans, you are just doing slash and burn, mulching, and so on. That is what they have now christened to be regenerative agriculture, conservation agriculture, and all the rest now. With the national chairman, we were at ISRO conference about 2 weeks ago in Virginia when he became the president of the ISRO, the international organization. And a lot of the papers, one was bewildered. These are things that we were doing on the farm, and they said it was primitive. So, emerging technology is whatever is trending at the moment. That is what is emerging. And he has listed a lot of them. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these big words that we thought we may not know anything about. But the youth, they know more about them because that's their natural habitat. and we have to also use them. But when we use them, we must know that we must put them in the Nigerian context. They must relate to the challenges that we have, and then the capacity and capability of our people, financially, intellectually, and others. So, the agric engineer needs to be able to reach farmers. We have to be able to talk to farmers. But in this country, we are virtually killing the extension organization in most of our establishments. In fact, there was a state governor that reduced the extension staff to almost zero. But I know at the federal level, some years ago, a Department of Actual Extension was created. So I hope it's functioning well. I think the director now is an agric engineer also. I mean, maybe not, but yeah, it's an agric engineer. So because when you go to NARLS, Dr. Utman, Professor Utman and co, they are extension agric engineers. Because you must extend, that's what was said in the morning by Governor Zulum, by Engineer Bindri. How do we cross the valley of death between technology development and its utility on the farm, in the cities, in our rural areas, and so on? See the development that the RAM program is bringing to bear, information management system for rural roads. Because if you don't characterize them, you can't even solve their problem. In security, we saw what Njabidi also said. So the art of relating to farmers, communicating to them, is something that we must begin to know. Somebody who knows it all. He has been on this side of being a ministry man, being a researcher, now on mechanization and working with farmers. And himself is the king farmer. So, Engineer Bitrus, all that you have had by your parent colleagues, how do they relate to our success in changing the Nigerian narrative so that there will be food for everybody? There will not be spoilage and so on. So, over to you.
Thank you, Prof, our able moderator. As our name implies, Tractor Owners and Operators Association of Nigeria are the largest mechanization service providers in the country. And we are end users of the technology that agricultural engineers produce. We have our presence in 28 states of the country. We have 498 tractors that we have acquired through banks, through collaboration with state governments, through collaboration with the ministry. And there are additional over 400 that we have bought on our own, not through loan, as auction or second-hand from some farmers. And out of the 493 and 98 that we have acquired, 317 is already paid for, fully liquidated. I would like to mention especially our collaboration with Katsina State. Katsina State, where they gave us about 175 tractors in 2018. It was through bank loan. Acquiring farm machinery is not easy because it's capital intensive. By the time you as individual want to go to bank to collect this machinery, you will not get it. Why we were able to get it, the state governor invited Access Bank, and he provided comfort. And we also sat with the regional manager of Access Bank. He said, okay, state will pay the interest while we pay the capital. And the loan volume was 1,040 million. And in a space of 4 years, that loan is fully liquidated. And now, how did we do that? How are we able to pay? And what is our own service to the society? We provide full mechanization services ranging from tillage to seed placement to crop protection, that is application of herbicide and insecticides to our crops, and harvesting, even haulage. We also do it for farmers. We also encourage our members to also go into production, because the amount we generate from tractor hiring will not be able to offset the loan that we are making. So we insist that each member will have to cultivate at least 5 hectares of land. So at the end of the season, whatever revenue we have realized from tractor hiring, which we pay normally monthly, we will supplement it with the sale of our farm produce. And by that, we are reducing our own default. Therefore, we have become credit worthy to our own bankers. And not only bankers, but also some state governments. Because after successfully doing that with Katsina, Ogun State gave us 35, Oyo gave us 27, and all those ones have also been liquidated. So we also see that the amount of land that we prepare, each tractor is able to prepare between 150 to 200 hectares per annum. So if there is good husbandry, if there is good agricultural practice with everything put together, and we have an average yield of maybe 3 to 4 tons per hectare, you multiply 150 hectares by 498 tractors, you now multiply it by 4 tons. You see the contribution we are making to making food available in the country. And not only that, we have also achieved that success because we have a structure on the ground. All our equipments, we have tracked them. As you as the tractor owner, you can be able to calculate maybe up to 70 or 80% the work that your tractor has done on the field with your tracker. And he cannot come and tell you today, I am stuck. I didn't do any work. And that is to tell you that the revenue for that whole day, you will not get it. So with that tracker, you will see, because if the tractor is moving, you will see it on your own either handset or tablet. So if it is traveling, coming back home, you see it coming back. There was cost when my tractors were moving from one location, from one town to another. I had cause to call the operator and said, this one is not a road vehicle, reduce your speed. Because even the speed, I can see it on my tracker. So, we also provide training for our operators because we use boom sprayers, so we have to teach them calibration. The time I first used my planter on my farm, 4-row planter, the people passing by, they say, this engineer's farm, this year, he will only give you to cows. Because there was a space of about 25 to 30 centimeters between plants and 65 to 70 between the rows. So they were seeing as if the plants are too close. So by the time there was adequate fertilizer, and I controlled the weed, they saw the yield, and I got a good seed from Monsanto that time. I was able to get like 4 tons per hectare. So they were very surprised. They said, what magic did you do? I said, look, when you plant 2, the distance you give between plant and plant is almost half of the one that I do when I do one with another. So with the planter, you'll be able to establish the optimum plant population per hectare. And what I did was those areas that were not fully planted, I filled in the gaps. So I had full plant population per hectare on my own farm. So we in Tuan, we can replicate this in other states. We also provide services to mechanization service providers. To commodity associations like Rifan, they hire our services. Maize Growers Association, they hire our services. Cassava growers, they hire our services. I remember there were courses we hired some, or maybe our partner hired planters from Income, that is for planting cassava. And wheat growers also, we provide services to them. So we can provide services to Nigerian farmers, to large-scale farmers, and to individuals who need our own services. In another thing, what can we do to the challenges that we are facing in our own operation. The three sources, if we are true to ourselves, the three sources of farm power for agricultural production are facing challenges. Number one, human power. Our young men, who are about 70 to 80% of the farm labor, are migrating to the urban centers to take job in the construction industries or transport sector. So we are left with the old men, so it is suffering, one side. Number two, animal drafts. We have cattle rustlers and bandits. If you have your own cows that you want to provide animal traction, you are no longer safe. So using animal traction now is also facing serious challenges. The third component, mechanical. With the mechanical power, the cost of getting machinery is very, very high. It is not easy to get because the dollar component of the equipment has not changed. Maybe just the annual inflation in those countries, but the dollar per horsepower is normally constant. But our own Naira is the problem. So to acquire a machine in Nigeria, it is very expensive. It has gone astronomically high because the cost of acquiring the tractor is very high. The cost of the spare parts are very high. There is difficulty in accessing bank loan. As an individual, you want to go and get loan in the bank. As people gather like this, supposing we have invited a banker will come here and tell us that, open your account, come to our bank, put up your application, we will give you loan. But the reality will come when you now fill the form. You go to the bank. By the time they start giving you conditions and making some demands, you will not be able to meet those demands. As I told you, we will not be able to access that loan of 1,040 million from Access Bank without Katsina State Governor's intervention. Because we got similar loan of 1 billion from Bank of Industry. Wema Bank promised us that they would provide the bank guarantee, and they deceived us with due apology because they are also our bankers. They deceived us that they would give the bank guarantee. We paid acceptance fee, 10 million. At the end of the day, they wrote us and said, we are sorry, we will not provide the bank guarantee. We lost that 10 million. And again, NASAL will tell you we will provide credit risk guarantee, but it will be difficult. But with the Katsina State Governor, NASAL was there, and they willingly provided the bank guarantee because Katsina State government was there. So I wish His Excellency was here so that he will hear the challenges that we are facing in the agricultural mechanization service delivery. And, but I'm very happy. Some of the things that he has said are in what I want to say in the remaining speech that I have. So, because of these high cost things, it has become difficult. A typical example I want to give, the tractor that we got, 75 horsepower, 4-wheel drive, in 2017, 5.1 million. Today is 43 million, the tractor alone. And the plow, another 75 horsepower from another country, in 2017, 4,250,000. Today is 38 million. The disc plow, we got it at 500. Today is 3.5 million. This harrow, which we got at 552, today is 4.5. Mahindra, 60 horsepower, which we got at 7 million. Today is 38 million. Sonalinka, which we got in 2020 at 8 million. Today is 38. Tipping trailer that we got at 1 million, it is now 5 million. The combined harvesters we bought in 2021 at 21 million, today is 45 million. So the problem is not the dollar component, but our exchange rate. So how can we overcome this? The only way we can do this is we have to come up with agricultural mechanization policy. And who will drive this policy? We, the engineers, must show government the need for this agricultural mechanization policy. we as engineers must identify our needs, mechanization needs, based on the crops that we produce. So we now manufacture or bring in the machines that we need to produce these crops. We also have to devise means of acquiring this input. How do we acquire it? Is it by import or local manufacture? If it is by import, which brand? If it is local manufacture, who will be the manufacturer? How do they manufacture it? Will they be given grants or they will use their money? And we also have to see the support. That is where research and development will come in. So, since we don't have a single tractor manufacturing plant in the country, we still have to depend on importation. But we as engineers, as Prof rightly said, we must be able to streamline the tractor mix that government imports. If we streamline them to a maximum of 4 and streamline it with a proviso that we are importing your products, but in the next 5 years, you should be able to start local production in Nigeria. And you have to produce a minimum of 500 units per annum. And your production will contain a minimum of 60% local content. You see, we'll be able to revamp our steel industry, our rubber farms, we should be able to make them functional, and we will be able to get jobs for our people. So, as we do that, we will discover that, like the machines that Income has produced, by the time you import similar machine from another country, the price will be more than 3 times. And it will give the same output, the same efficiency. So what we are saying is our universities have produced so many prototypes of equipment. As Governor Zulum said, we should be able to perfect those prototypes and commercialize them. Are we going to look for financiers, or government will now grant loan to to manufacture? Because that is what is obtained in developed countries. They didn't just do it overnight. They either allowed them to have access to loan at cheap rate or gave them grant to start those assembly plants so that their people can get equipment at cheaper rate. So we are supposed to advise government on what to do. Provide funds or provide grant for research and development. By the time we have these equipments that are developed, which we have plenty, even tractor, I think, Income, and I saw another person that has done it. Yeah. So that they can do it, and we'll be able to work on that. Then the last portion that I want to talk on, there are 3 components from my experience that I have seen how people do their own mechanization. They have 3 components. 1, agricultural mechanization contractors, who have large-scale equipment, 250 horsepower to 300 and over farm tractors, horsepower tractors. They provide services to large-scale farms. Sometimes some of these large-scale farmers, it is not their own equipment, they hire. But after 2 or 3 years, they give them right of first refusal. After 2 or 3 years, that contractor will try to sell that particular product and buy another one. So they give them that option. So I want to recommend that we should also encourage government to attract agricultural contractors to invest in agriculture. Because like somebody earlier said, in US, only maybe 5 to 10% of the population are farmers. And they produce enough food for their country and also for export. The other component that I want to say is the small-scale farmers who have small farm holdings, like in China, Thailand, India. The largest market is 25 horsepower to 50 horsepower tractors. That one, it is cheap. Small farmers can afford it. And it will reduce waiting time for mechanization service providers to come to them. The third component is maybe the medium horsepower tractors. That is 60 horsepower to 100 horsepower. That is the one that mechanization service providers like Tuan and others can also use to provide services to farmers. Yes, the time I went to South Africa recently, some of the tractors now have some sensors on the roof, giving them some information which will be analyzed. And John Deere has also devised another means of smart agriculture. They attach, if it is a 4-row planter, they attach 4 reapers. Those 4 reapers will be creating fissures, and the coulters of those planters will be planting seed on those fissures that have been created. Whenever there is runoff of water, it will trap it. Even if you have a small spell of drought, you will be able, it will conserve moisture. Your crop will not suffer much. And we know, we are happy with the coming up of the artificial intelligence, which they can do precision weeding. And you can also conserve your herbicide, because sometimes if your farm is infected, you will say you will bring herbicide and spray the whole farm. But with drones now, it will detect the area that has infection. And you go to that area and apply the herbicide and control it. So the ball now is in the court of our engineers. We have to perfect the prototypes that we have and advise government on what to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is always good to hear directly from the practitioners, right from the field. In those days, our conferences in ag engineering, we normally have a session for field officers to come and brief us on the challenges that arise on the farm, so that those doing research, we know what areas to work on, so that the researches are not just in the wind or only for paper publication, but to help us solve problems. I think that's the sort of thing that we have heard from Engineer Britus now. And I'm sure other members of the panel have noted some of the key points that he has made. We have to make farming very attractive to the young generation, who can now blend it with new technologies, emerging technologies, to keep Nigeria on the run. And the only way we can do that is by understanding these dynamics with those who are actually practicing. So thank you very much for those insights. I was getting ready to ask you a question, but your last contribution has cleared that about how to make machinery available, either through big contractors, the medium, and the medium is where you fix into. Because what I noticed is that the number of state governments still invest in tractors in the last 1 year, 100,000 maybe in Niger State, and so on and so forth. So if these are directly acquired by government and they don't give it to private people to use, using this sort of service, funding agreement that you have, how are we sure that those tractors will still remain in 3-5 years' time? Just a quick comment, and then we allow the members to participate.
Well, a typical example I want to give is when Ogun State gave us 35 tractors, there were some still with the Ministry of Agriculture. Our members fully liquidated their own, but revenue was not coming from the one from the state. So the state government called our chairman and said, please come and take the remaining. Myself being from ministry before, I know the maintenance culture. I told them, go and evaluate the condition of those tractors. Otherwise, we will not take. So when they evaluated, they discovered that they are almost broken down. We refuse to take. So the only way that I will suggest that government will do is to actually identify actual farmers, and then not only to give them grant, because by the time, what happened in Katsina, Bello Masari said his predecessor bought about 500 tractors. But by the time he took over, he couldn't see the tractors. They were sold. So he said, okay, how can we stop this? Somebody told him there is one. And he invited us to Katsina. We presented our own model. He accepted. He is our member. He also took two. His deputy governor took two. And these people must also have the political will for it to succeed. Because when he took his own, the deputy governor took his own, members took their own, they were thinking it's business as usual. But governor said to our own chairman that whoever does not pay, take him to court. So as payments were coming in, those members were not paying. So he went back to the governor and told him that, look, the legislators are not paying and you are members of the executive. He said, take them to court. When they went to court and they were served with court summon, everybody started calling him to pay. So that is how we were able to liquidate that loan. It demands the will of those in power for it to work. And number two, government must also provide maybe, like now we have NEFOND, National Agricultural Fund. We have Bank of Agriculture, but do they have the money that you can go and borrow? Because they are the ones that you can go and borrow at cheap rate, like Bank of Industry. They give us at 9% interest. But in other commercial banks, it's about 21, 24, 25. So you cannot take that loan on that interest rate. So government must provide a dedicated amount of money in some banks for farmers to go and borrow to acquire farm equipment.
Thank you very much for those great insights. We thank our presenters, but that's when we have heard from the audience. You have listened to the diverse interests that they have presented to us. It is very important for us to prove our relevance as agric engineers to solve those critical problems that have been identified. So, over to the audience for discussion. Yes. So, it will handle it. Yeah.
Can we please put our hands together for these gentlemen for these wonderful presentations? I'm sure you have learned a few things, and some of the answers actually raise curiosity about the feasibility or otherwise of some of the issues that have been addressed. And I don't know if you have questions. Wow. We don't know. I call the shot. When we get to Akure, I know you will punish me. Raise up your hand. Please, this is the rule. Be brief. Brevity. Number one. Number two, don't let somebody else's question generate question. So that we have other things we need to do. We want you to go and rest because tomorrow is going to be a loaded day. So please, yes. So I'll just take, because they also need to rest. Some of them came long hours before coming in this morning. Please let us be brief. We know you know the history of agricultural engineering and all that. Be brief. And when you are asking the question, your name, where you work, so that we can actually know from which perspective, whether from the academia or from the industry, you are asking the question. And I will move from this side to this side. Number one, my guy in white. I will give room to the student. Hello, you are number two. They will bring the mic to you. Okay, I will be gender balanced. Number three and number four, the last man before. So that's for this side. Number five, Professor Olumorewa. Number six, that lady. Permit me to be gender biased. And the man beside number seven. That is all. Please. Okay, number eight, the man in white. Please let us, I think we should take the questions, maybe two first, since we have eight, with two, so that we can address it. And whenever you are addressing, just, you know their names. Okay, so over to you, sir.
Is it question or comments?
Both.
Good. I'm Professor.
But brevity.
Very, very brief.
I will stop you from here if you exceed my 30 seconds for the questions. Permit me to do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Professor Elebamon from University of Maiduguri, Agri-Engineering Department. I want to speak or make some comments on what the director Onkam said. When he was doing his master's in mechanical engineering, I was also doing my PhD. He's a very intelligent and forward-looking man.
You have spent 15 seconds, so
All
I will
right.
stop you in a minute.
Okay, the machine, the thresher here, they developed at Rencam, which can really thresh 6 crops. I want you to really standardize it so that the Chinese will not come and then snap it and go and produce it and begin to produce, bring for us. Because I was somewhere where even the hand thrower and very, very minor small machines that we took for granted here is being patented and produced by a single company. That's one comment I will make concerning that. And I also recommend that we don't have, we have not mapped our soil in Nigeria. In other places that I know, they have mapped the entire soil, where different machines can work there in terms of axle to load, traffic, and tillage, but we don't have such soil maps here in Nigeria. So any machine that income will produce and provide, they should take into consideration some of those soils, because we have different soil types. And since we have not mapped the country for different soils, for different loads, and for different engaging tools, they should make effort.
Thank you very much,
Last
sir.
one, sir, Minister, excuse me, sir. Also, I have been recommending, and also continue to recommend, that we should develop a standard soil bin at income for the country.
Thank you.
So that we'll be testing our equipment.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Then,
sir, thank you.
Okay.
Clap for him, please. Number 2, that man in green. Please be brief, please. We know what soil testing is, and I'm sure you understood what you are saying.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Augustine David from Obafemi Awolowo University. And then my question is more like a request. I'm directing this to Dr. Abu Gafar, Director of UNCAM. Sir, the multi-crop thresher is fascinating, and then I have a lot of questions about it. But there's one thing that could answer all my questions, which is the technical documentation of the machine, sir. So I'm asking, is there a way we can access the technical documentation and then read through, sir?
Thank you very much. He's just asked a question. Please, let's encourage the students. That's why they are here, to learn. Let's encourage them. You know, if you are a lecturer here and a student asks stupid question, you don't give stupid answer. You allow him to talk and then you intelligently correct him. If he knows, he won't ask. I'm sure we know that. Let me welcome Dr. Kamar to take those questions briefly so that we move on to the next 2. I want to do it like that until we finish. Over to you, Doc.
Professor Mama is comment and advice for income, which we'll take note of. For the students, of course, our technologies are available for you to acquire knowledge on. Like I said, we trained fabricators on them, so you can come around and interact with us on that. There's no problem about that. Yeah.
So in addition, I think he can see you at this conference and then interact with you. Good. So you can see him before the end of the conference. Let's put our hands together for the AD. Number 3. Okay, yes, Mom. By the way, that's Dr. Mrs. Fabarode. Before she introduces herself properly.
Thank you very much. I'm sure a lot of people will think I'm just a spouse. I live on engineering, I eat by engineering, and my profession is on engineering because I've always worked on linkage among post-harvest technology users. Our governor made a charge to NIAE to do things differently, and he wants solution. So that has inspired me to the same question or the same suggestion I made in Enugu when I attended. I said, united we stand and divided we perish. Engineers have been going differently. We need to pool our resources together. I'm from Extension, Obafemi Awolowo University, and I feel I've been hearing all the agencies talking our leaders talking, but nothing on extension. I've not heard anybody emphasizing the role of extension. So I'm suggesting that future conferences invite extension practitioners as collaborators, as partners, as people in the same field. It is in this way that we can move forward, because extension know families. Families now, they don't want their children to be farmers. From home, families discourage their children from being farmers. So if you want to do it right, you have to engage with extension agents who can persuade them. And then we realize that agencies, they compete among themselves. We need concerted efforts. Agencies should be united. So engineers, agric engineers should be at the forefront of this. Unite the different agencies to work together so that we have better results. That's my suggestion.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that counsel and that contribution, and I think it's well taken. Number 4. Yes. You identify yourself, your institution, organization, and then go straight to the question.
All right, sir. I'm Ayodeji Arishoyin from Federal College of Agriculture, Akure. I will make a brief comment on the issue of agricultural mechanization. The truth is that if you are not on the field, you won't appreciate how difficult it is to mechanize agriculture in Nigeria. Some years ago, a group of surveyors came to me that they want to do 2 hectares. We could not succeed getting a tractor to that location. When we succeeded, we were not able to get to the farm because of bad road. And eventually when we got there, the tractor sank, and the moment the operator got out, he left. If you go to where they park their tractors now, they are all scraps. I also had an experience with the Ministry of Agriculture where operators will take government tractor away for weeks. It is only when it is damaged they will come to the office to come and collect money to get them repaired.
Sir, your question, please.
These are just comments. So
No. Hurry up. I will ask them to take the mic.
All right.
I'm sorry.
So my question and suggestion, my suggestion really is that these big tractors or medium tractors are not really helping in taking mechanization to the grassroots, because in the land tenure system we have in Ondo State, it is very difficult to get contiguous 10 hectares where you can take a tractor. So small scale mechanization is really needed, and I think income can help. We have a lot of small 5 horsepower, 3 horsepower, 6 horsepower diesel engines that people have that they are no longer using for power generation, that if income can come up with some tractors that can be powered by these engines, it can actually reduce the cost of acquiring them, and it can help these farmers to begin to mechanize.
Thank you very much. Let's clap for him. I think that is noted. Please, those serving at the back, I give an instruction, and I think we should stick with that instruction. Don't distract this meeting. Please. Please. Number 5. You have a lot of people from income here, right from the ED to a number of other key staff that you can interact with. I'm sure if you do that, you probably will have better information and understanding about the operations of income, what they have, what they don't have, and what we can do. Thank you. Number 5. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm Professor Olumuriwa from FUTA. Mine is comment. I'm very happy this kind of a thing is being discussed here today. But my worry is this. There are many of the projects we are talking about here now that have been done in some polytechnics, done in some universities. My simple comment is this. How can a Greek engineer, or let me say this our institute, how can we have data bank? How can we collate researches that are being done in different institutions so we will not just continue repeating the same projects? Like the one my ED is talking about now, I know many people have done it in many places and many people have done it in many areas. In fact, we have even gone to the extent of containerizing biogas. But they are just talking of producing that kind of it. So it will just be doubling our efforts or repeating our efforts if we don't have information bank or data bank on our research project. Thank you.
Very much for that beautiful comments. Number 6.
I'm Dr. Bridget Tolawinjobi. I run a private firm, Dolphin Agro-Allied Services. So I would say I'm a farmer and I'm a processor. One of the challenges I faced few years ago, I planted rice, 15 hectares the first year, then 10 hectares the second year. So one of the challenges was that I had issues with getting machineries to plant my crop. So my question is this: for lowland water flooded
Paddy rice, you mean?
yes, paddy rice.
Go ahead.
How do we get access to machineries specifically for lowland flooded area for rice farming? Thank you.
Thank you. Swamp rice, you mean? Yeah. All right. Let's clap for her. Number 7.
Yeah. Good evening, all.
Good
I'm
evening.
Muhammad Ulan Sambo from Kaduna Polytechnic. Mine is just brief and a comment that food security is something that is challenging us in Nigeria day in, day out. Many agencies are there, universities, institutions are there, but we could not solve our problem. This, I think, it is related to underfunding, in as much as agricultural engineering encompasses all aspects of cropping, animal production, and environmental sustainability. I think it is very much important that we package ourselves and sell the idea of establishing ministry, federal ministries of agriculture, state ministry of agricultural engineering, federal ministry of agricultural engineering, state ministries of agricultural engineering, so that we can harness our problem and solve our problems ourselves. All these agencies that gives funding, as an agencies, the government is not funding them well. Let's look at TED Fund. You will write a project proposal that you want to produce social machines.
Sorry, can you go to the question directly, please? Or I ask them to take the mic, if you don't mind.
So what I'm saying literally is that funding should be specifically and not with wasting much time on agricultural engineering aspects. And ministries should be established. Those to head the institutions or ministries should be from us, so that we solve our problems ourselves.
Thank you.
Let's
clap for him. And then number 8. No, sir. Number 8. Please come forward. Let them see you. You can't be asking questions. Don't take him to here. Come to where the camera can pick you. I'm sorry. Come towards where the light is. Thank you. I will give room to all the panelists to address the questions as they come.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Aribebumi Ezekiel from NRLS. The question I'm asking is very direct. Where are we putting the place of labor-saving devices? We talk about tractors, 40 million, 30 million, but if you actually watch the mechanization of India, China, and some other developing countries, Argentina and Brazil, these small devices, and I think at NRLS we've been trying to work with Income, the current director, to work on that. So I want you people to speak to the place of labor-saving devices that are not expensive, that are easy to use, and you can train these artisans to actually produce these things to work for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very keep brief to the time. I would like every one of them to address all the questions as it applies to them. And I will also moderate the time. And I'll start from Engineer Beatrice, exactly. Engineer Beatrice Elesa. I don't know whether you capture any of the questions that fancy your attention that you can briefly just address. And then Professor Nwalu, later Dr. Bodinga, Engineer Dr. Kama, and then Professor Fabra, they will cap it up. And then we'll move on to the next session. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. When you are talking of preparing your land, you must first of all know that your land has to be developed. If your land is not properly developed, it's not meant for tractorization, because you will just destroy your tractor. One tire of agricultural tractor now is almost 1 million, one rear tire. 3 years ago, I bought it 500,000. Now it's 1 million. So you cannot take your tractor to go and do 50,000 naira work and then lose 1 million. So the big tractors that we are saying, they are meant for large-scale farms which have been fully developed. And some of the equipment that you use for the large tractors, they have a width of 30, 40 meters. So these ones are for developed lands. For our daughter that has problem of harvesting, if the land is big, she says she has planted. Is it planting that you want or harvesting? It's flooded. Paddy rice. She is now talking of planting. Okay. The planting, I have seen one type of planter, but we don't have it here in Thailand, where it will be spraying the seed on water after puddling the soil. Not just water, but puddle soil. After puddling with the single axle tractor, then they came in with another tractor which has a broadcaster. It is the broadcaster they use to spray on that puddle soil. And for the harvesting, like my harvester, it has track. It enjoys working in wetland, in paddy fields that are submerged with water. I took it from Taraba to Omo in Anambra State, but you know that place is very large. I will be able to recover my cost of transportation and also make money, because taking it from Jalingo to Omo and then back costed about 1.6 million. And if the land is not big, you may not likely get combined harvester to do that job. And the last person that spoke of mechanization, if you remember, I said there are 3 categories of providing mechanization services. Agricultural machinery contractors, that is for the large-scale farms. And I said in China, Thailand, India, there is more market for small horsepower tractors, which I said we should replicate here in our own country. That is 25 to 50 horsepower, or even less, using single axle tractors. We can employ them, collaborate with Income, and produce them, so that they will be able to, they are more accessible, they are cheaper, and a farmer that has 5 to 10 hectares does not have to wait for a tractor to do his work. Thank you.
Very much. Let's clap for Engineer Lesa from the practical viewpoint. I probably will ask you to also receive me. All right, sir. Professor Peter Owalu. Yes, sir. Just address any of the questions that you can.
Okay. I think I will just reemphasize what I said before. I think somebody talked about the question that touched a little bit on what I said is about funding. And I want to respond to the young man. I don't think the solution is creating a Ministry of Agri-Engineering, because even if you create a new ministry, it's still the same management of the funding. I think what we need to do, and which I already talked about, is to build our capacity. I think he was trying to talk about third fund, that maybe you submit proposals, you don't get any response, and so on. And I want to address that because I'm one of the pioneer members of the third fund research grant committee. I'm no more there now, but at least I know I was among the first 2 years that third fund ran. Oh, you are there now? Okay. And when we started, the first call was manual. It was just an advert. And we were put in which hotel now? I think either Rockview or the one near Grand Square. About 50-something professors to analyze the proposals. And we had just a little bit above 1 million proposals. Okay, and then after the whole thing, we recommended to the then Third Fund Executive Secretary, Professor Bogoro, when he visited us, and he agreed to take the issue to the president. That was President Buhari. And the following year, there was an announcement, 7.5 billion from about 2.5 billion. And then we now recommended, and the whole thing was now computerized. And then the next call was online. And guess how many proposals we received? 7,000 and something proposals. I'm saying this so that you realize that out of these 7,000 and something proposals, the fund available will only address maybe about 100. I think we gave 200 that year. So it is really very, very competitive. The first thing we did was, this advert said maximum budget is 50 million. And some people wrote in their proposal 51 million, 60 million. So the first thing the software did was, any proposal that is 50 point something million is out. With that first flag, about 2,000 proposals were dropped. The only thing is, we advise Third Fund, when people don't succeed, write to them and explain to them, like it's done with international grants. So you sitting there, you feel you threw in your proposal, nothing happened. In fact, some people say they stole his proposal or her proposal and gave to another person. And I saw this even when I was DG of Raw Material Council. People put in proposals, and just like the prof from Akure here talked about, you will see a proposal that maybe 2-3 years ago was funded in another institution, and somebody is bringing the same proposal. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to understand how these bodies function. Those who give grants, those who give funding, and so on. I think we have enough in terms of the numbers of institutions that fund research. What we don't have enough is the volume of money. Today, we are still operating about 0.25% of our GDP that is for R&D. And that's a big problem. I'm running a project now funded by IDRC on making sure that Nigeria has a truly national research funding agency. We are doing this project in 6 West African countries, including Nigeria. It's only in Nigeria that we have not succeeded, because it's only Third Fund. And Third Fund is addressing only public institutions. So we are hoping in the next couple of months, I think the president has given a note that once the National Assembly finishes with the bill, the president is going to sign, as part of the Renewed Hope agenda, he's going to sign the bill for a national research funding agency, which will now move up the volume of money that will be available for research and development for both private and public sector. And then, of course, that will also give Nigerians access to foreign funding, which the donor basket that we are working with will eventually bring to Nigeria. But having said that, those of us in the room who are working in the area of attracting funds, you know, it's not an easy thing. I submit at least one proposal every week with those who are working with me. And out of 100, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 will succeed. It doesn't mean that somebody is shortchanging me or anything, but the competition. So we need to build our capacity, and that's what I emphasized before. We need to build our capacity to be able to compete in terms of looking for money. Whether the money is for research or whether it is the kind of thing that Engineer Beatrice is doing, he hinted it. Even when you are looking for money for business, you still need to approach banks and you need to understand what they are looking for and be able to position yourself. You see the innovative ways they've been able to get this funding. If you can't get the bank guarantee, just getting that governor to say, okay, I guarantee. That's the capacity we are talking about.
Yes, sir.
Being able to learn how to do these things. And for us as young engineers, that's where our work is. Providing these services, doing the consultancies, making sure that we're able to write bankable proposals, and being able to compete and get research funding.
Thank you very much. Let's clap for Professor Peter Nwalo. Before I allow the next speaker, I want to give you a little information. I am currently in the committee of NRF TED Fund. We have over, though this is unofficial, over 10,000 proposals. And quite a number of people were quoting 125 million, 17. In fact, somebody wrote for 1.3 billion. Yes, for 50 million, whatever. And then we were told that it must not exceed 1,500 words. I saw one that exceeded 7,680 words. So when you write and you say they are just chopping your money, no, they are not chopping your money. The only grounds I also have is that they should tell people why your proposals could not fly. But you can imagine somebody saying he wants to build an aeroplane, and in this 1.3 billion that they can be moving from area where there are no airlines, and he expects TED Fund to put down money for that. So before we start castigating, I was also in that side of the divide, thinking that there's something they are doing with our proposals, until I got in and I saw what people were doing. So please, you just ask questions. That's why these people are here, to guide us and then to also help us build capacity that can make us to be successful. Before you start winning grants, you must have written severally and declined before one comes through for you. Over to you, Dr. Bodinga. Let's make it brief so that we can go to the next point. Thank you.
Okay, actually, I think there is no direct question towards me, but the important thing I want to emphasize is the issue of sustainability in whatever we are doing, be it in innovations or in terms of supporting the initiatives, or equally looking towards the agricultural engineering, generally speaking. Under this project I'm running up, like I've said earlier, we want to make sure that even when these development partners are no longer financing this project, we establish institutions at the state level that are going to ensure the sustainability of the investment in terms of maintenance, and equally continue to open up more rural areas. So in each state now, so far 90 states, we have placed bill for the establishment of Rural Access Road Authority and equally State Road Fund. We realize that depending on budgetary provision by state governors cannot actually ensure sustainability of the investment. The lesson we learned under Rampona and 2 is that some of these roads, immediately you've finished the construction, the road continues to deteriorate, and there is no maintenance mechanism put in place to ensure the maintenance of this road. So sustainability is keywords, and we are focusing more on the sustainability aspect of not only constructing the rural, but ensure the maintenance of these roads and equally the sustainable financing. So in each state, we have State Road Fund, which has been very, very difficult for Nigeria to develop. For over 30 years, Nigerian government is trying to develop a national road fund. It became a nightmare. Up till today, there is nothing happened in that sector. But we are happy to inform you that under this project, we are having a state road fund, and the two states has already started operationalizing this state road fund, and we'll now see more of our rural roads being maintained and in a very sustainable way. So I want to encourage our team to look at the engineers here to focus more on sustainability, which is the key word now. It's not about doing all this thing. Another issue is the issue of data, which I consider also very paramount and very important, and that is what we are using to equally get funding from development partners. So this is another area that we need to invest so much on data. Somebody can contribute or give you a grant if he knows what your challenges are. Based on the fact that you are going to present at the end of the day, that will support your argument, you know, the question for the financing or equally for the research grant. So I think this is another area we need to focus more on. Due to time constraint, I think I would like to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's clap for Dr. Bodinga. How to support it. And then quite a number of the questions were addressed on income. And we have the face of income here. Please be brief. Thank you very much.
Concerning this low cost and small equipment for cultivation, Income also fabricates in collaboration with a private partner, Bespoke Design Concept. We fabricate 30 horsepower mini tractor. And even currently, I think Akwa Ibom State Government has ordered for about 190 units, which is 108 units, which currently is being produced. So like I said earlier, that Income focuses more on the small-scale farmers. Like our multi-seed planter, we have the single-row manual planter, we have the two-row motorized planter, we have the three-row tractor drone, we also have the four-row tractor drone. So hopefully during the NSC conference, we'll be showcasing most of these technologies. Thank you very much. And also, lastly, the center is also working in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture in developing a mechanization policy for Nigeria. So I need to also mention this.
Thank you very much for that information. Very useful, very valuable. Now, Professor Faborode should just cap it up. So please be brief. You can use this, yes.
Thank you for taking off the question and answer. I think our panelists have done justice to most of the questions. A few ones that are still in the gap about soil mapping, and I think that also came up when the young lady raised the issue of swamp rice, the type of machinery. I think the issue of soil mapping is beyond agri-engineering, it's national, and I know the Soil Science and Soil Tillage Society are working on this. Definitely it's something that must be done so that some of the facilities can be properly located. In those days, the siting of Cocoa Research Institute, Rice Research Institute, Oil Palm Research Institute was not just haphazard. It was based on the proper soil identification of the country at that time. So they were located where the right soils were for those things. Some things that we used to do in the past, we seem to have lost how to do them. So it's timely that there must be a proper soil map for the entire country and for each state to also map their soils properly. So it's beyond income, but it's something that NIAE, under the soil tillage research, of which our chairman is the international president now, can also be taken off. So if we need any international assistance, be sure that the chairman is up to it, because he's the global president of Soil Tillage Research Association in the world. But soybean, I think Income is trying to develop its testing facility, including soybean and other things, so that it can be able to fulfill its mandate. Our idea is that if Income is properly able to standardize and test those machines that are coming, tractors and other machinery, in fact, they'll be able to generate a lot of resources to sustain their operations. So that is very important. The last point, Professor Nwalu has mentioned it a bit, duplication of research efforts. We can't totally eliminate it, but it's good to have an inventory of research that has been done so that somebody can be aware. You know, our young people, they believe in literature review. And so they must know that something has been done, and nothing wrong in trying to improve on what has been done. But to give impression that nothing has been done when you have not been able to know that something has been done is where the problem is. So it will be good to have this machinery inventory, not machinery inventory, research and innovation inventory. But as I said, at the global level, at the continental level, we are trying to collate, to have a repository of these sustainable actuarial mechanization technologies, so that the lady who wants to know about what machine to use for swamp farming, we just need to click a few buttons to get guidance on exactly what machinery is available and what it can use. So I think we have filled all the gaps. I want to appreciate that there has been a very vigorous contribution from the audience, and our panelists have been up to the task. If you ask me, I would say this has been a very high quality panel that has looked at the role of our profession in attending to Nigerians' food security, high prices, no job for our youth, and all the problems. But this is just the beginning. The job is still there for us to now take this from here. Somebody will say, but we said the same thing about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We must not be tired of making this statement. We have been enlightened by our farmer about what happens on the field, how machinery is accessible to farmers, and so on. The mechanization level in Nigeria is still very low. Too low that it may not be able to dent the challenges that we have, but we have to keep on trying until we will get people who will understand us. We are happy today that we have a governor of our own. We don't have to start explaining to him about mechanization. He already knows, and we can see from what he is doing. Maybe we'll be able to impact at the national level and ensure that the mechanization policy that is being developed, we attend to a number of the problems that still remains to be solved. So thank you very much. Let's continue to support our national society, and I think we'll all be very proud of what comes of it. Thank you very much.
I think we can make it louder than that. So I've kept these wonderful people here for like over an hour. Thank you so very much. There is an assignment briefly before they go that the national chair would like to do, and without wasting our time, I know the time is fast spent. Please join me as I bring up the national chairman, Engineer Professor Joshua Olarewaju Olaoye, as he comes up. Thank you.
Yeah, before he comes up, just know that food is already waiting for us, so in the next 10 minutes we'll be done, and you'll get your food. Thank you. Brunch.
Hi. To perform this assignment, just like Prof said, he mentioned the fact that when we're talking about the soil mapping, it's an assignment that Soil Tillage Research Organization can also actually spearhead. I want to also report here that when we were at Virginia Beach, we made them to understand, especially when we are trying to relate with most of these industries that deals in soil tillage. We had occasions to interact with Michelin. And we told them, say, Michelin is no longer in Nigeria, and we want to bring them back. We had interaction. And one of the issues I discussed with them, which they are also expecting feedback from us, is to see how they will be able to be involved in soil mapping and knowing how some of their machine can work on our soil. So we will definitely put up some people together to put up some of these needs, and we will revert back to them so that we will definitely have their appropriate intervention in this area. In fact, when he asked me, he said, what type of track are we still using in Nigeria? I said, well, possibly we are still using steel track. I said, no, they have phased it out completely. So now, with the emerging technology, we are sincerely hopeful that by the time we present to them our need, they will be able to intervene appropriately. Let's put our hands together, and as we are calling on you to work with us, let us identify most of this core area so that they will just intervene in specific area of our needs to ensure that we transform and translate the space for our agricultural practice in Nigeria. Well, the assignment again is to appreciate our panelists I want to start by making this presentation, giving them this award. I haven't spent so much time. It has been 1 hour of serious engagement, and we have been enlightened. Can we again give them a round of applause? On this occasion, I want to especially and referentially call upon our father here. He's our grandfather now. Each time, wherever we move to, he will always be along with us, backing us up. And at a point, somebody said, the old man you are carrying, I say his heart is still very young. He's carrying the body of the old man, but with the heart of a young man. We are appreciative of you. I want to call on Engineer Professor Michael Favorode. I'm giving this award to you in appreciation of your contribution. The President of Pan-African Society of Agricultural Engineers, PASAI, being a member of our panelists in this our international conference. Thank you. I have the honor to also call on our ED, the indefatigable ED of income. I've had so many comments about the way by which you have been putting new dimension into the leadership of that center. We wish you well. Again, I present to you Engineer Dr. Kamal Abkavar Rashid, Executive Director, National Center for Agricultural Mechanization, as a panelist in the opening ceremony of 24th International Conference of NIAE. Thank you. Also, I want to specially call on Engineer Aminu Mohammed Bodinga to make these award presentations to you as one of our panelists, National Coordinator, Rural Assets and Agricultural Marketing Project, RAM, as a panelist in our conference. The current president of African University Science of Technology, Nigeria. We are also presenting this to you as one of our panelists in this our international conference. Thank you very much. The last but not the least is also for my brother, Engineer Elisa Bitrus Yakubu, FNIA, in appreciation again for being a panelist in this opening ceremony. Congratulations and thank you very much. Well, because of the timing, we are trying to squeeze our program in the money. The first set of panelists, we need to also give them this award. We will start with the keynote speaker. I hope the backbone Galaxy man is still around. Okay. So we'll keep the award for The first set of panelists, we also want to quickly present the awards to them. Well, as I want to call on the first set of panelists, I want to humbly request, as I release the second panelist back to their seat. Thank you very much. The first set of panelists, I will begin by calling on the chairman, the representative of the chairman of WABEN, their secretary, Engineer Dr. Christiana Alimi Adamade, to come forward as a moderator in this event for our award. This is an appreciation of your contribution as a moderator at the 24th Niae International Conference. I also want to call on Engineer Omalola Cecilia Ogunjiri for our award. This award is also presented to you as a panelist in this year, 24th Niae International Conference. Thank you and congratulations. Engineer Esther Oyerunke Oluniyi. Yeah. A friend will take this for her. Of course, she has another appointment elsewhere, and she has just traveled down to attend to that appointment. So Veronica is coming around to stand in to take this award of appreciation as a panelist for Esther Oyerunke Oluniyi as a panelist at this year's International Conference. I want to call on the moderator during the first panelist section, and I have the honor to invite Engineer Christopher Akimbili, FNSC, FNIAE, as a moderator at the 24th Niae International Conference, 44th AGM, Abuja, 2024. I have the honor to call on the National Vice Chairman and to make these presentations to him. Engineer Professor Joseph C. Adama, FNIAE, MNSC, the National Vice Chairman, as a panelist at this year's international conference. This is the last award for the panelist, our keynote speaker. I want to call on Engineer Dr. Umar Bindri, where Professor Akimbile will also stand in to take this award on his behalf. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our own indefatigable chairman. It's been a roller coaster ride since morning, and I must say here that this is one of the best conferences I've attended in my life, where amidst the fact that so much programs were heard, and the numbers remained as we started. This is quite unprecedented. I think we deserve some applause for ourselves. On this note, we want to call to do the vote of thanks the National Vice Chairman, who doubles also as the CPC chair of this conference, Professor Adama, to kindly come up to do the vote of thanks. Let's put our hands together for him.
All protocols duly observed. I want to thank, we will not stop to thank the governor of Borno State, His Excellency, Engineer Professor Babagana Omar Zulum, for all the things he has been doing for us, especially for his presence. His presence mattered so much for us. Not only that he's always present, but he's also supporting it spiritually, physically, and otherwise. May God bless Governor Zulum. I also want to thank the president of NSC for being with us here. I'm also thanking our powerhouse. We have a powerhouse in the person of Engineer Professor Michael Oladimeji Fabrode. Fabrode has always been with us, and when he's with us, we move with courage. Anybody that stands on our way, we will crush the person as far as Fabrode is with us. I also want to thank Professor Mrs. H.S.B. Fabrode, the mother of this occasion, and the mother of our former national chairman, who has always been here. I said it yesterday. As soon as I saw her in the evening during dinner, I recognized her because I saw her in 2001. Madam, we thank you so much for being with us and for granting Professor Fabrode the chance to be moving with us. He's always moving with us. There's a wife you have, he will not allow you to move. But Professor Fabrode has always been with us. Thank you, madam. May God bless you abundantly. I also want to thank Engineer Professor A.P. Onwalu, my boss, my supervisor, and mentor. He was my godfather during my wedding. Many people don't know. So we have been close for many years, and we are still close. Prof, thank you so much for being with us. We were in your office yesterday, and you talked to us. What you said entered our ears. Even this yesterday in the evening, you are also with us. Please continue to be with us. We have a silent achiever in our midst. The man who talks less and achieves much. He is no other person than the executive director of NCAM, Engineer Dr. Kamal. Kamal, please, and his team. We really saw what you did for us, how you have, in spite of financial crunch, you have been able to sponsor your staff to our occasions and also giving us something. Please, may God bless NCAM. NCAM will grow from strength to strength. Director of Department of Rural Development is hereby thanked. We acknowledge his presence. I saw him here. And our LOC, please extend our thanks to Engineer Frank Satumare for the support he gave us today. He did so much. These bags we are carrying, we are undertaken by him. Not only that, he was also releasing our LOC chairman for everywhere. LOC chairman has taught everywhere, and the director has given him a chance to move around. If not because of that, would it have possible? We also noticed that Engineer Aminu Bondiga sponsored so many things for this project. We are grateful to him, and we continue to ask him to be with us. My boss, Engineer Beatrice Elesa, has he gone? Engineer Beatrice Elesa was my boss when we were in NARDA. These are the people that moved the old NARDA. And he has retired, but he's not tired. Anytime you call Beatrice, he always exhibit what he's known for. When we were in NARDA, any difficult solution, Beatrice will tackle it and come up with a very good result. We thank him for all the things he has done for us today. There's one thing, before I continue, I want to say something. When we were sworn in here last year, I gave a vote of thanks. And I said, I promised that I served Professor Longe as a national vice chairman. And I'm also serving now. That we will be growing. The next conference will be higher than the one of, this year's conference will be higher than the ones we have been having. And Professor Nwalo and Professor Sedaba cornered me and said, this statement you made here is an oath. If you don't achieve, we are going to hold you responsible because we have sworn an oath before all of us. And can't you see it? I'm justified. Another person I'm thanking here is Professor Taye Tehinshe. You people may not know him. The LOC chairman is here. This man went around the whole country. His personal money, he never took 1 naira from NIE. He used his personal money and traveled across the country. And to show that this thing, he's always quiet. He doesn't talk much, but he's a great planner. Thank you, the LOC chairman. I'm also to thank Engineer Sena Segu, the man who has retired but not tired. He has been traveling all along, and he's here today. Although the MC has acknowledged him, we hereby thank you again. And also, we want to thank Waben for bringing a new dimension to this conference. What you have done is noted, and we continue to grow. The students that are here, we recognize you and thank you people. Finally, I also want to thank Christopher Aidu. I don't know that we are a very big MC like this. You added color to the whole occasion, and maybe we don't have any need of looking for MC again as we are doing our conference. And the press crew that are here, we thank you. The cameraman who has even the one standing snapping me now, I thank you. All of you are up here doing wonderful. We remain grateful to you. And to everybody that is seated here, I say thank you to all of you because it's not, some people say they have not eaten. We will soon serve you food. So for being here and sitting with us, we thank you and we pray that the Almighty God will take all of us to our designated places. In Jesus' name.
Please let's celebrate our legendary Vice Chairman serving to National Chair. I also want to throw my voice to appreciate the spouses of our engineers, our wives, the wife of the LOC Chair, I understand she is here. The wife of Professor Faborode also here, and every other person that came with his wife or husband. We want to appreciate you all. Please, there will be group photograph, and that will be done immediately after we're done eating. But this is the order. The chairman and our special guests and our senior colleagues would be at the front, take a set of photographs, and others would join. It will snap with the students, snap with the spouses, snap with everybody. So that is another array of program in itself. Before we leave in the next 2 minutes, Professor Kimbele will be telling us what we're doing tomorrow. I say it everywhere that this division has the best technical sessions. One of the things I enjoy so much in our conferences is our technical session. So you can't miss it. So just give us 2 minutes to hear what we'll be having tomorrow. Professor Akimbile, please.
Thank you very much, our MC. Quickly, all the chairmen of all the sessions and the rapporteurs, as soon as we take the group photograph, please just see me at that corner at the back for briefing with respect to tomorrow's session. The technical session starts tomorrow like it's been announced, 9 in the morning. So you should be here on time to submit your presentations and all that. You can also download the proceedings, the certificate, and the program of events. I'm going to share the link as soon as we're out of this place. The e-copy of everything is available. And then please ensure that when you are coming, you have your name tag. The LOC chair mentioned it earlier on, so that you don't be misconstrued for people who are just bypassers. If there are other information, you probably will get it through our platforms or through your representative. Let me welcome the MC as he leads us on quickly, so that please, tomorrow we'll be here by 9. The session starts by 9, so we'll be here before 9. We want to see how we can. Then there's also a virtual session for those who are not on ground that want to present virtually. But let's come on time. If you have been slated for Thursday and you didn't show up, and after we've exhausted the session, we assume you are not coming. So let's come. We are going to follow that schedule. More importantly, but whoever is here, we have preference over those who comes late. Let's note that so that we can tidy up a number of things tomorrow. Thursday, we go to other things. And may I also remind us that there are awards for the top best 3 presenters. It's been a custom, the practice of the Niae over the years. And this year will not be an exception. So we need you to actually, and this award involves and includes proper time management so that we allow other people to. So after now, we meet at the back, chairman and rapporteur of all the sessions that we'll be having tomorrow. Thank you very much, and do have a warm evening.
Thank you very much, Professor Kimile. The students, I understand that you will be meeting immediately after we end this session. I know it's been a long day for you, but it's important you meet. So however short it may be, please just kindly wait immediately we end this session. For everyone who we drafted to work with us, we want to say big thank you. Engineer Neka, thank you. Engineer Lydia, thank you. And every other person I may have forgotten to mention your name, thank you. Sylvester, thank you. May we, on this note, rise to take the closing prayers. LOC members, please wait to see the chairman for a review of today's program against tomorrow. We'll be taking the second stanza the third stanza of our anthem as our prayers. So please, media, could you please kindly give us the lyrics and then we can pray with it. All right. So we pray at the count of 2. 1, 2. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and also with peace and plenty. Nigeria may be blessed. Amen. Thank you and good night. Group photograph. Yeah, yes, please. Yeah. The chairman and our senior colleagues first. Photographer, please, we need your services here.